5, 6, 7, 8.
Gossip Girl. We're going to talk about Gossip
you
Girl.
love me.
XOXO. Gilmore to say.
Girls.
All right, here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Gilmore to Say with Tara and Haley. I'm Tara. This is Haley. Hi, Haley.
Hi, Tara. Happy birthday.
Thank you. It's my first
34.
Gilmore to Say birthday episode on my birthday. Last year was yours. This year is mine. Yeah. I love it. I love birthday week. It's so fun.
What is that from? Last year? And this year is me? Oh, last year he was the editor. This year I am. Last year he was sleeping with the editor. This year I am. That's the way you said that.
Oh, it was so unintentional, but I love it. I love
it. Are you doing anything special? Anything fun for 34? 34. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Exactly. That is
That's
famously
counting.
how the numbers go.
Famously, we're good at those.
Am I doing anything for my 34th birthday? I don't really have any plans, admittedly. The only thing that I think we're going to do is go play trivia, which I'm really excited about. Actually, I do have a really fun plan if all is going to go as expected, is you're going to be on a plane here.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. I was like, what are you about to say?
For your birthday? You.
Yeah, I also have plans for your birthday. I might be going there. Yes.
Yeah, if all goes according to plan,
Okay.
you're going to be on a plane when some people listen to this coming to New York City.
You're so right. I'm going to go to trivia, y'all. I'm so excited.
I know.
Listen, I'm on the trivia team. I don't know if you guys know this, but Tara cheats every week. No, but it's because I'm the long distance trivia member. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes I get a little text.
Be like, hey, do you
always
know the answer to
about
this?
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it's almost
one
usually
time
about
it was
Taylor
about
Swift.
Grey's Anatomy.
I was going to say sometimes it's about books.
Yeah,
which is where
there
I
was
think
one
you're really
time
going to show up strong for us.
Oh, I'm ready. If it's romance, otherwise just forget about it.
No, I don't know. You might know stuff.
I might know, but there was one time when Brett was doing it and you were with me, and it was like Georgia facts, and I was like, "What are the odds that you're in Georgia and they're doing Georgia trivia?"
I know, that's so funny. I forgot
I'm excited
about that.
to finally be in person and just realize that it's like that episode of The Office when that one team does really, really well, and it just so happened that like all the trivia was like curated to them. I'm gonna like absolutely destroy your team. Like, we are not going to do well. Or maybe we will. Who knows?
I think we're going to do great. Listen, either way, we're going to have a good time. And that's really all that matters. We're just here to have a good time. If we win, it's just gravy, you know?
Yeah. Famously, we're just here to have a good time.
We're just here to have fun.
You know what? You know what I'm excited about is I'm also excited because I get to meet Nancy.
You get to meet Nancy, and she's so
Our
excited
number
to
one
meet
fan.
you. She's so excited to meet you.
I can't wait.
I told her, I was like, you know, for my birthday, my plan is to just go out and do some trivia, but I think Haley's going to be coming here. And she was like, oh, I get to meet Haley. So
I'm
excited
so
for you
excited.
To meet her and
she feels like a celeb.
She is a celeb.
Yeah.
She totally is. And maybe they'll bring the puppies. I don't know. I don't want to make any promises, but
okay, don't make puppy promises.
I don't know if I want to make puppy promises, but you get to meet Emily, who runs trivia, who I absolutely adore, and like just the people I've talked about, you know, for years. And Gerardo and I think are going to lunch, which I'm really excited about. And I told him that you were potentially coming as well. So
is he gonna have to trivia?
I think maybe. I am
you
trying
must force
to
him
like
to
figure it out. I think if he knows you're coming, he'll definitely come.
Oh my gosh.
Not that I'm not enough.
What a blush.
But we're definitely he asked me last night, he texted me and was like, okay, what are we doing for the birthday? And I was like, I don't really have any plans. This is the first year I don't really have any plans. It's on a Tuesday. It's kind of tough because like a lot of my Broadway friends have shows. Brett is going to be in tech. So like, I don't even think he's going to be able to make it to trivia. So, you know, and my mom is coming in later that week because we're going to tour our wedding venue and she hasn't seen it yet. So it's like, I told her, I said, you don't have to come in twice that week if you don't want to. I would love to see you. It's like our tradition to spend my birthday together. I mean, like she's the first person I ever met.
On your birthday,
first time
famously.
we met. Yeah. It's very important for both of us. So I love when she comes in and we get lunch. So maybe she'll come in. I don't know. It's very cash this year, which I'm excited about because, you know, there's so much happening. We're moving. Yeah. Scarlett is going to be, she's due any day now. You know,
there's maybe something else that we're doing, which is like why I'm actually coming.
Else that Haley, there's a purpose for Haley coming, not just for my birthday.
We love Tara here on this podcast.
We do?
Like it's one of our favorite people here on the podcast. But that wasn't the reason why I was going to New York. Potentially there's another reason. But we'll see.
Keep your eyes on our Instagram because I think that you guys will be very...
Just close your eyes.
Just close your eyes and cross your fingers. Yeah. Because if what is happening is actually happening, it's going to be huge.
I'm going to be sick.
I know you are going to be sick.
I'm going to be ill. You guys, it's one of those things that I don't even want it to happen. Because I'm too excited.
I want it to happen. I'm excited. And hopefully next
Tara,
week...
I want it to happen so bad I want to die. But like it cannot happen at all.
That's true. Okay, I was going to say hopefully next episode we can tell you, but we're recording that later this week. So that's actually not factual.
You will know.
But you guys will know. If you follow us on Instagram, you will know.
You will know. It is. You won't even have to hear about it. You'll know.
You'll
know.
You'll feel it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that feels like such a tease. But just wait. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Stay tuned. Stay vigilant.
Oh my gosh, even just talking about it, I felt my heart rate go up.
Oh my god, it's an exciting thing.
I'm excited.
Anyway, we have to stop talking about it because I hate when people do that. They're like, we have this exciting thing.
But we
have
an exciting
thing. Yes, exactly.
No, but we genuinely can't. We've been told not to.
We've been sworn to secrecy. So
it doesn't have anything to do with Gilmore Girls either.
Yes, you know what? Let's just give a hint. Nothing to do with Gilmore Girls.
Nothing to do with Gilmore Girls because I feel like we just like primed that we were going to like be a part of the Gilmore Girls Christmas special. No, not for sure happening.
But that is what we're talking about next week, which I'm really excited about. Yes, because we're not going to finish this episode together because today's episode is all about Gossip Girl. I chose to do a little Gossip Girl, Gilmore Girls crossover for my birthday because I have been in my Gossip Girl era. I've been binge watching the show. Haley and I are the consulting producers on a new...
watching it very
differently,
very different paces. I've not even finished season 1.
I'm
Tara's
on season
17.
Yes.
But as Tara was saying, we're consulting producers on a Gossip Girl podcast. If you guys ever listen to Pretty Little Podcast with Phoebe and Caroline and Phoebe, whichever way they want to say it. Which way do they say it?
I think
Caroline
Phoebe
and Caroline?
I think it's
Caroline and Phoebe.
It's alphabetical, yeah.
Okay. Well, ours isn't. So I don't know.
That's true.
I don't know.
But we always say that it's nice to
Y.
end with an EY. It's always,
E.
or with an E sound. So Caroline and Phoebe. Tara and Haley.
But they've rebranded to Your One and Only Source because they're covering Gossip Girl, which is of course why we're watching it. And we thought it would be fun. Or our little girl Tara, I meant to say little gal Tara, thought it would be fun to bring a Gilmore to watch back because that episode was so much fun. Like you knocked it out of the park with Sarah.
Thank you. That's so generous of you to say because I had a great time, but also was like, am I doing this right? Hope people like this.
There's really no way to do it wrong other than not do it at all.
That's
really.
true. That is,
but it was so much fun, and I really wanted you to come back and do it again. I actually listened to it on an airplane.
You did?
It was just I remember that one day where I like got on the plane, got off the plane went to another gate, like that whole thing. That you and Sarah were keeping me company.
I do remember that. Good times.
But I felt like it was time to bring a Gilmore to watch, so we decided to do it for your birthday.
Yeah,
and we wanted to, or not we. You and Caroline felt like Gilmore Girls and Gossip Girl had a lot of crossover, which it does. There's even a Gilmore Girls reference in Gossip Girl.
There is. I love that Gilmore Girls exists in the world of Gossip Girl. I love that Blair Waldorf watches it and gets herself ready, primed and ready to go to Yale. But if you guys are not familiar with the show, I don't know how much you're going to appreciate it, but you might really appreciate it. It is going to be spoilerful. Like you are going to know.
Girl. Well, I mean, Gilmore Girls. You guys you're already here for Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, but for Gossip Girl, if you haven't seen the entire show, maybe hold off. We are going to talk about everything.
And if you don't care about spoilers,
I mean, the show's been out for 15
quite
plus
some
years.
Time.
So
someone commented spoiler on a reel I made recently. I don't remember if it was Gilmore to read or Gilmore to say, and I was like, I just ignored it because I was like, girl,
the show
is so old
for a long time.
This show can rent a car.
Literally, the show can officially rent a car.
Spoiler alert.
So I'm sorry, we're not issuing spoiler alerts anymore.
No,
but I will for Gossip Girl, just because I don't want to tease.
This is not about
exactly. I don't want to tease. Chatting about Gossip Girl. Because when I did Gilmore to Watch with Sarah Lampert, from what I can remember about Ginny and Georgia, I don't think we necessarily gave away any like deep spoilers about the show. No. I think we compared a lot of the characters, which is what I'm about to do in this episode with Caroline, who I think you guys are just going to absolutely love. Caroline
and Phoebe are fantastic.
Both of them are wonderful. And they're sisters. And they host this podcast. You've heard us talk about Pretty Little Podcast, but it was really fun to do this episode with Caroline because she's just such a hoot and she's so easy to talk to. And we had a great time. So I'm excited for you to listen to it too, because I know you're also a big Gossip Girl fan.
Yes,
and I think I really want to know how you feel about the comparisons we make, and if you have different opinions, and maybe we can chat about that in another episode, because I think
maybe
like it.
in a future episode, and like maybe a future GTC, we'll start with some Haley thoughts on
Gossip
Caroline
Girl.
and Tara's thoughts.
That could be a lot of fun.
Because like this is another show for me that was like, it's like the three
informative
Gs. Gilmore Girls, Gossip Girl, Grey's Anatomy. Like those were my shows.
Yeah.
And Gossip Girl for sure, because like Blair was just like very formative for me.
That's
unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what Caroline said too. She was like, oh.
Because, well, I was wearing headbands in middle school, and then Gossip Girl started and Blair was wearing headbands, and everyone was like, Haley wears headbands because of Blair Waldorf. And I was like, you guys better fucking shut up. I did this first.
Yeah. She predate this.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
They were inspired by me. They came to school and saw me and said, Blair
absolutely.
Waldorf.
And like the episode Roman Holiday where it's Christmas and Blair has that red Valentino like patent leather shiny bag and she has those giant candy canes for her and her dad. That is just like lived rent free in my mind since that episode aired. That was probably like my most watched episode, because of course I had like the box set for those. I watched it literally all the time, and I like literally looked up how much a Valentino red bag would be at the ripe age of like whatever teenage age I was, and I was like, oh,
and you were like,
that's not me. You I will be going to the TJ
gagged.
Maxx.
Exactly, and getting a dupe. 100%.
Yeah,
no, she's such an icon. And what I said to Caroline is like, despite the fact that a lot of the parts of the show are kind of the antithesis of small town Connecticut, this show is treated like a small town within a big city. And that's what I think, that's one of the many comparisons, that you can make to the show. And we draw a lot of comparisons. We didn't have time to really get into like the scenario comparisons, but we talked a lot about the relationships, the characters, and our love for the show. And I'm really excited for you and the rest of our listeners to hear about it, for us to kind of do a little debrief about it afterwards. But the reason I brought up the Christmas special is because, of course, at the end, it's going to end with me and Caroline, and we're not going to have and we'll have more to say on that in the next episode, send off as we normally do. So this week is all Gossip Girl, and next week we're going to be having a little episode about a potential Christmas special that has been through the rumor mill in the Gilmore Girls world for the last couple months.
Well, the rumor mill, it was Miss Lauren Graham, our darling Lauren Graham. When she was at the Emmys on the red carpet, she was the one that suggested a Christmas special. Okay,
I know.
Bet, do it.
So
we thought we might imagine it before they do it next year, which they will, right?
I really think
Lauren
that they
Graham
might
say that out loud.
I know. You can't tease something like that to the public.
Between her and Kelly and Amy, like, come on.
No, I agree. I'm very intrigued to see if it actually comes to fruition, but we wanted to dream up some scenarios that we think could be really fun for the Christmas special now that we're about 9 years removed from a year in the life, and even more so from the series finale. So I'm really excited to dream that up with you. But before we do that, let's talk a little Gossip Girl, Gilmore Girls, a little GGGG with Caroline from Your One and Only Source. Me. XOXO. Caroline.
Bye.
Bye. Caroline. Hi.
Tara.
You're here.
Oh my God.
We're finally on the mic together.
This is long overdue, honestly.
Dangerous, honestly.
They can't give us a podcast together because it'll be way too much.
No, we'll never shut up.
We have a podcast together. It's just called The Voice Note.
It's true. It's just us sending voice memos back and forth to each other. Yes, we're like, hey, sorry, this is a podcast. And then we remember we're podcasters.
Yeah, we're actually both totally fine with that. It's what we, I'm his sister. It's what we do.
It's what we do.
Absolutely.
Which on that topic, you are just at the beginning of your journey of a Gossip Girl podcast with your sister Phoebe.
We are.
And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today.
I'm so excited.
I know.
It's crazy because we were talking about, like, obviously we started with Pretty Little Liars. Mm-hmm. Now we're doing Gossip Girl. And it really feels like we just graduated sort of like the metropolitan, mature older sister of Pretty Little Liars, you know?
Totally.
There's a lot of similarities there, but I'm excited to get into the similarities between Gossip Girl and Gilmore Girls.
Oh my God,
the
me
two
too.
double
I
Gs.
have like the two GGs. I literally have like a whole I wish you could see this. I wanted the element of surprise to be there, so I didn't send you my whole document, but it's like, it's
I'm
insane.
so excited.
I'm like, you need to calm down, Tara.
If I know anything about you, it's thorough, it's beautiful, it's intelligent.
It's very thorough, or at least trying to be.
Yeah. I was nervous because I was like, in my mind, like I'm an expert on Gossip Girl. Like I've watched it a million times, but like there's a difference between being an expert on a show and being like Tara and Haley level of an expert on a show. You know what I mean?
Some of that is because we do the podcast, right? Like I think about how much I knew about Gilmore Girls because that was just like years in the making. Right. And then I think about how much I know now because we do the podcast, and it's just like, you know, you have to know a lot about the show, or you just learn a lot and discover a lot about the show. And I've learned so much from Haley and me. So it truly, I think that by the time you guys are at the end of your rewatches, which is going to be years from now, I think that you are going to feel like a Gossip Girl expert, like even more than you do now.
I know. I really, even just going through, like we just did the pilot and going through that, which we've already recapped together because we did it on our Patreon like years ago. But this time getting into it, like it's just watching the show in a whole new light. And when you're doing like the recap episodes, it's like you're getting beat for beat, just noticing things you didn't notice, and then hearing like someone else's perspective and what they bring to it and really diving in. So it just made me so excited to like keep going through it with new eyes, you know?
Yeah, same. I'm so excited to listen. So rewinding for a second, I know we've already kind of gotten into it, but tell the folks at home who might not know about your podcast all about Pretty Little Podcast, who you and Phoebe are, and how you decided to, transition from Pretty Little Liars to Gossip Girl.
Okay. So I'm Caroline. My sister is Phoebe, and we are the co-hosts of formerly the Pretty Little Podcast, now your one and only source. And
excellent name.
I feel... Well, thank you so much. We had help from the best. I mean, and that is one thing, like we had to be so careful. And if any of you guys do listen to our podcast, which it is so fun to find out that there's crossover, like we just had someone message us on TikTok and they were like, just sending like a random video, and then I responded and they were like, by the way, like I love realizing that they're like, you and the Gilmore to Say girls know each other. It's like my worlds colliding. I was like, well, if you like that, just stay tuned. But
just you wait.
But I feel like a lot of people found our podcast through some high drama, which is actually how Tara and I met as well. We call it Namegate, but back in 2024, you may remember, everyone, that there were two former Pretty Little Liars stars who started their own Pretty Little podcast with that name. And some of our road warriors, as we affectionately call our listeners, got on that quick. They were like, I don't think so. There's already a podcast with this name. And they really kind of started the battle, and then it was out of our hands from there, and we ended up getting really lucky and getting to keep our name. But that is how a lot of people found us. And like looking back, we're like, that was the best thing that ever happened to our show.
Isn't that crazy? That's something that can feel so catastrophic, actually, in fact, was something so good for you guys as far as exposure.
The best thing. And it brought a lot of eyes to our recaps. And one thing that I knew going into that is like I was really confident in our recapping ability. Like I was like, I wasn't worried about all these new people finding our show and being like, oh, we'll just let the stars have the name because they're going to do this really great podcast. Like I knew we really had something great, and even having all these new people find it was like great for reinforcing that idea. And so the way that our recaps sort of took life, like with our sister lore and our family lore and our world building and our relationship, like it just really blossomed into something so awesome that there was no way we could stop when it was over. And that moment kind of like gave us the confidence to like really keep plowing forward. And because of that, we needed to be really careful about the name. Like we were like, first of all, if we change our name, people are going to be like, all that? Oh, all that? And now we're changing the name,
Just so you could change the name? Yeah.
Right.
No, but they understand. You can't call yourself the Pretty Little Podcast and recap Gossip Girl.
And be a Gossip Girl podcast. Exactly. No. Like it. And the truth is, like, we didn't even love the name. Like it was just like the name, Yeah.
But it's also, it was more the principle. It wasn't about whether or not you were going to change your name. Also, that podcast those other two people were doing no longer
R.I.P.
exists.
R.I.P.
So
that podcast is dead on the ground like Alison DeLaurentis once was. But yeah, it's just like we had to be really careful with the new name situation. So we went through like hoops, which Tara's familiar with, and now we're doing Gossip Girl, and that was kind of a wayward way of explaining everything, but you get the gist.
I love it. And you guys are called Your One and Only Source, which was also the name of another podcast. And you reached out to the former podcasters, because they haven't done it since this was all about the reboot of Gossip Girl, which is not what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And like we went through like multiple names that we were interested in, and then all it takes is one quick little Google search, and we found that there were existing podcasts or recent podcasts that were in the Gossip Girl realm or not that were using these names, and not something we want to touch, obviously. So when we decided on Your One and Only Source, we found that there was this Gossip Girl reboot podcast, but they weren't active for 4 years.
4 years,
but they did have the Instagram handle, and so I reached out to them, had like an awesome conversation. The host was so nice. She was like, we're so excited. Yeah, she was like, we're so excited. Like, pass the torch on to you. Take the handle. Like, we're just excited it's going to like another Gossip Girl fan. Like, she was so nice, and I was like, and that is how it's done.
Love
that is how you do it.
That is how it's done. Literally, you guys did the right thing. You took the proper channels. Like, that's how it's done.
And there was a risk. I was like, oh my God, they're going to come back and be like, no, because frankly, that's what I would have said to the people who wanted our name. But that was different.
Absolutely. So. Well, it was different. You guys were an active podcast. And also, I think one of the reasons that I was drawn to you when I saw your video on TikTok is, because I think you and I are very similar in general. And I could tell by the everything about you when I saw you online. But I also was just taken by everything you explained, having gone through and having built over those 2 years that you guys have been active. Because this was in April of 24. You guys had started Pretty Little Podcast in April of 22. So it was like you spent 2 years building organically from the ground up a show. Right. And that came with a Patreon, that came with merch. And who understands that better than the girls over at Gilmore to say?
Exactly. I'm like, you totally just get it. And it's, because it just wouldn't have been the same experience. Like for them, they could have chosen any name. They knew they were going to have a successful podcast. When you come into it and you each have 1 million followers, like it's just a completely different ballgame, So
totally,
that's something 100%. Like being that independent podcaster and being like, no, this is a passion project, but it's also something we've put a ton of blood, sweat, and tears into.
Yeah. And we're not just going to be like sideswept by.
Right. Exactly.
You guys either not doing your research or not caring that we had the same name. And so subsequently when, we as a group kind of decided on Your One and Only Source, it was like, well, let's reach out to them. Let's see if we have their blessing. We're not going to do what those other people did.
Right.
Also, mostly because it wasn't active anymore. You guys were an active, independently produced podcast. So I love a full circle moment. I love that you and Phoebe have arrived at the next chapter of your podcast together, because you guys are so good at it. Not only did I become a fan of you, I became a fan of your show and your dynamic with Phoebe, which is why we are now consulting producers on your podcast. And like it all came together so beautifully.
It's really kismet. It all happened the way it was supposed to. Like it's crazy to imagine that like if that had not happened, you and I would not have the friendship we have. And I literally feel like I've known you forever. Like it doesn't feel like we met a year ago, but
I know, which is crazy. Almost 2 years. I know. I was thinking about that today as I was like prepping mentally for the episode. I was like, feels like Caroline and I have known each other forever. But that is how I think you make friends as an adult. It's like you already have plenty of friends. The ones that sneak in there are the ones that you're like, I feel like I've known you for 100 years. Come on.
Yes, exactly. Come on in. Exactly. But
so that's a little bit of the lore on your show. So you guys are at this point, this is airing on my birthday next week. So you'll have been 2 or 3 episodes in, because you started on Thanksgiving. You dropped the first episode of Your One and Only Source pilot episode on Thanksgiving, which is so fitting because Gossip Girl is a Thanksgiving show.
It is the Thanksgiving show. I 100% agree. It's great. We kind of went from like a Halloween style show to a Thanksgiving show.
Next is going to be Christmas. Who's to say?
Exactly. Who's to say?
I love. So before we get into the Gossip Girl of it all, this is of course a Gilmore Girls podcast. You love Gilmore Girls. You actually knew about our podcast before I met you via
I think we were following
TikTok.
you.
So funny.
Yes, absolutely. And
because you're also a Gilmore Girls fan, which is great.
Gilmore Girls fan. But like,
Anthony.
it's my husband,
the biggest
Anthony,
Gilmore girl there ever was.
No, literally. Like, and it's like, okay, green flag. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
literally.
Okay, non-threatening straight man, loves Gilmore Girls. When we first started dating and I didn't know him as well yet, like he'd frequently be like, oh my God, this happened to my friend once. And he would start telling me like a story. He'd be like, yeah, like there was this crazy moment where like her mom had to take her to school and she wore these cowboy boots and like, or he'd make up like some random story, you know? And I'd be like, what? Like, that's crazy. And he'd be like, yeah, it's my friend Lorelai. And I'd be like, is this a Gilmore Girls plot line? And he would, yes. And it was so, now I can like, I'm like, and that's a Gilmore Girls plot line. You better stop it.
That happened on Gilmore Girls. Yes, I know that they're your friends, but I need you to be honest with me. Do you know her?
Do you actually know these people? I know. And it's just like his ultimate comfort show, which I think is so sweet. And he has a Gilmore to Say, the coffee cup,
the coffee collection
shirt.
Tea. And that picture like lives rent free up in my head. He
packs it on every trip we go on. It's like his favorite shirt. So yeah,
I love it.
We are a Gilmore Girls stan household as well. And he loves Gossip Girl.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
We just did a watch together.
What team are you on?
For Gilmore Girls, well, I'm like, I gotta like lower my voice because if I don't say the right answer here, but like it's gotta be Team Jess for me.
Oh, yes.
And I know that you're gonna love to hear that. Yeah, I mean, realistically, like in terms of like Rory's trajectory, I'm falling in love with Jess like 100% when she does, but then I like am also falling in love with Logan.
100%.
That is, you know,
100%.
So like 100%, and they couldn't be more different, but they're both somehow my type. So
I know, isn't that crazy? Yes. What does Anthony think?
Anthony, I think, would tell you that he's Team Jess, but he will always just be like, I'm Team Luke. Like he is always
he's a big
like,
Luke stan. Yeah,
you know, like, and not that. And I was listening to your episode today where you got, I don't think you dove into it yet, but you were planning on it on like, what is a team? Like, what does the team really mean? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I was thinking that because like he'll answer that question, but he won't choose one of Rory's boyfriends. So it's like, is that the right answer? You know what I mean? Like he'll choose Luke, but because he's always just like, we're Luke and Lorelai. Like that's us.
Yeah, exactly.
He just wants that so bad. So, but I feel like if you're Team Luke, you're kind of Team Jess. That's kind of like the same.
They kind of like hold hands a little bit, you know?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So with you there. Okay, so what about your relationship with Gossip Girl? When did you start watching? How did it become one of your favorite shows? Because the other thing that we didn't mention is that the reason that you guys started watching Pretty Little Liars and did a podcast about it is because that is Phoebe's favorite show. Yes. And you hadn't seen the entire thing. So you guys rewatched up until a certain point and then you were watching for the first time together.
Yeah.
Now you're doing your favorite show. And how did Gossip Girl come to be your favorite show? Like, when did you start watching? When did you become attached? Did you watch live?
No, I have. Okay. So I'm the oldest. I'm the eldest daughter, and Phoebe is. And again, that is why we are kindred spirits. My sister Phoebe is the middle child. I'm one of three, and like growing up, I think Pretty Little Liars. It came out like my freshman year of high school, and it was the show. Like I remember where I was when I watched the first episode, and she wasn't allowed to watch it because obviously, and so she would like wait for me. I'd DVR it, you know, record it. And then she'd wait to see that it had been watched. And then she would go in our basement television and watch it once it was safe because like it had already been watched by somebody. And she would stand this close to the TV and she would have volume 1 and subtitles and she would watch it. And it was just like this moment for her. I sort of had a similar thing with Gossip Girl because I was not allowed to. I was like, we had a strict household. I wasn't allowed to see like a lot of the things that my friends were watching. It was one of those like, it's PG-13. Then when you're 13, you can watch it. Maybe
that was my mom. 100%.
That was the vibe. Yeah,
100%.
So I knew in my heart that my mom could not know about my affinity for Gossip Girl. But this was during the time we were just talking about this and we recorded like. Do you remember when you would buy things on iTunes? I don't know if you had this experience growing up, but like it was like our family account. And we just buy things on iTunes and we just didn't know where it went. It was like 99 cents and we didn't know, you know, whatever. So I bought a few Gossip Girl episodes and I guess I just didn't think that like anyone would notice. But I remember vividly laying in my bed, watching on my iPod Touch.
Of course. The
Slumber
iPod
Party.
Touch.
Oh, Yes, the slumber party episode of Gossip Girl. And I remember too choosing the episodes I purchased just by reading the synopses because I wasn't watching it live. I wasn't allowed to. But a lot of my friends were like the youngest kids. So they were like, oh, Gossip Girl's on in the house. We like Gossip Girl, whatever. So I had a babysitter at the time, or like eighth grade, our family's babysitter. And I told her, I was like, oh my God, I love Gossip Girl. Like, I'm loving it. And she was like, oh, I love Gossip Girl. And we like had a little kiki over it, talking about it. She turns around and tells my mother that I should not be watching Gossip Girl. And my mom was like, well, I didn't know she was watching Gossip Girl. And so this is how I get outed. And my mom was like, listen, your babysitter said it's not appropriate and that you shouldn't be watching it until you're like later in high school. So you can't watch it. Then the betrayal. Not us having the exact same. Yes.
I would never be able to trust anybody ever again.
No, I know. Like, am I still harboring a grudge? Of course.
A little bit.
So we go to Hollywood, California, like a month later for a wedding. And we're driving down the road. And there are these huge billboards for like Gossip Girl's amazing marketing campaign. And it was like your mother's worst nightmare. And it's like a picture of Serena on the bar after the Shepherd wedding. And my mom is like, see, like I knew you shouldn't be watching it. And like that it was just further
it solidified
proof
for you
that like she made the right choice as a mother. So obviously when you have a moment like that, you're gonna become obsessed, like completely obsessed with the show.
Of course.
And yeah. So I don't remember when I fully got to watch it, but I do remember I got all of the DVDs, like the box set. And I want to say from like sophomore year of high school on, I would just keep it running on a loop, watch it nonstop. I remember getting foot surgery and I was in the basement holed up with all the Gossip Girl seasons and just kept them going because I couldn't walk, and that was the best thing to do. So that was really like how I got started. And who knows if it hadn't been such a tumultuous, origin story between me and the show, who knows if I'd be here today. But
honestly,
I just loved it. And then this is I actually didn't know if I was going to say this because it is low-key so embarrassing, but I'll say it. So when I was in high school.
No, you have to tell me.
I kind of, and I feel like you'll really get this, just like being the eldest daughter and like all that comes with that, natural born leader vibes, I really was like taken with Blair Waldorf. Like I was like, I am Blair, Blair is me, this is whatever. I had like a group of friends that I really want to say that I'm not the one who started it, but like, I don't know. They would call themselves my minions. And like, I would be Blair Waldorf in their phone. And it was like, and it's like, that's so
my God, I'm dead.
Embarrassing. I was a senior in high school and like, but I'm still best friends with my main minion. And she'd be happy to tell you all about it. But yeah, so like, long history with it, but it is just like the best.
Her on the podcast is like, welcome to the stage, my main minion,
Kelly, my main minion.
Kelly,
I'm just
my
like,
main minion since day one.
How mortifying is that? Like, but why was that a thing? People were like, "Who are you?" And we're the plastics. You know what I mean? Like they would do it, like,
exactly.
Mean Girls, like whatever.
No. We were so emotionally underdeveloped, and
completely. And also like
television was our
Pretty Little
world.
Liars. Yes, I was like, oh, we're supposed to have relationships with our English teachers. We're supposed to be mean. We're supposed to be dressing like this.
We're supposed to be pretending like we're dead and not returning for 5 seasons.
Absolutely. Like that's what we're supposed to be doing. So anyway,
I will say that Gossip Girl and shows like that, like I wasn't allowed to watch Gossip Girl. I wasn't allowed to watch the OC, One Tree Hill, all of those shows.
Yes.
I understand now as a grown woman why my mom was like, hey, maybe we don't watch that. Do I wish I could have? Absolutely. But they were doing a lot of very adult things in high school that like I was not doing. And so of course it's going to inspire you to like, I don't know, play Jason Derulo behind everything you do.
No, exactly, exactly.
Like they were having sex and they were drinking and they were like doing all of these things, which yes, you have to explore those things on your own, but when you're ready, and I'm sure parents were like, hey, maybe we're not ready for that when you're in 8th grade.
Right.
We're not ready for that yet. We're not ready for you to be inspired by that.
Anthony and I we finished Gossip Girl. He had never seen it. He loved it. And then when we finished, we were like, why don't we do the OC now? Because I'd never seen it. Mm-hmm. And we started it. And like, I know people feel, and frankly, it's the same creator. So it should, it's as Gossip Girl. But Gossip Girl came after. So I almost feel like he like learned a little bit from what worked on the OC and like sort of took it to the East Coast sort of story. But in the first episode, they're all doing cocaine at a party. And I'm like, wait, we're 15. Like, what do you mean there's cocaine on the table here?
That's what I'm saying.
Like that even felt like, I don't know. At least in Gossip Girls is sweet, but
agree. No, 100%. But it's just like, you're going to the club. Like in one of the first episodes, Chuck like tries to sexually assault Jenny. It's like there's a lot of really intense themes in this show that they're very adult themes. And I think that that's the intention, is to kind of express that these children are, much more mature and exposed to a lot more adult themed things because they're raised in like society's upper crust.
Yes.
There are no rules.
And it's like, I'm sure there are people who are teens who experience life like this in cities like New York, like totally. I'm sure. But for little old me in the suburbs of PA, I was like, why am I not drinking a dirty martini with lunch? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's
100%.
So, yeah.
And I didn't start watching these shows until I was in college, because I was never going to be able to watch them in my household, even in high school. There was no way.
Completely understand that.
Like, definitely no way.
No.
So then when I started watching them in college, I was like, oh my God, these people are so cool.
Yes.
And I aspired to be them, maybe at a more age appropriate time in my life. But if I had aspired to be that way in high school, I would have been a fucking monster. And I was already a fucking monster. So
no,
it would have just
and
been 10
it's also
times
like
worse.
the theater girl in us. Like we were like, and we can take on a personality. Like
literally,
we know how to like adopt
ever take on a
persona.
personality.
Yeah,
absolutely, 100%. Okay, so obviously, with that in mind, Gilmore Girls is a very, very different show.
Yes.
Because like part of the reason it's so comfortable is that Amy Sherman Palladino, who created the show, made a lot of the big small and the small big, which I think is not necessarily the case in Gossip Girl. Everything is big.
Everything is huge. Yes.
Or like the biggest like things we should make a big deal about, like
for example,
Jenny Humphrey.
Chuck.
Yeah, for example, Chuck and Jenny Humphrey. I don't know, selling drugs is like made so small.
They're like, and whatever about that. Like literally, yes.
And you know what? You're grounded.
You're grounded.
Maybe.
You're grounded. Yeah, exactly.
For 2 episodes. But with Gilmore Girls, it is so laser focused on small town vibes. Rory is so the opposite of these people, because despite the fact that these are 2 very different shows, Gilmore Girls and Gossip Girl have this like weird little Venn diagram in the center where they meet, and that's kind of what we're gonna discuss today. But I feel like Gossip Girl is like what we would have gotten if we had seen the other side of Rory's life at Chilton with all of these like, high society Connecticut folks.
Yes.
But it's really like if we explored Lorelai and Christopher's time together when they were younger, but set in 2007 with like the relationship that we're rooting for being like a young version of Emily and Richard.
Being like a little toxic. Yeah.
Like the upper society and how they operate and like seeing the underbelly of that.
That's such
but we
a
got
good
the small
point.
town. We got more of the small town, like Rory Gilmore, Lorelai, Dan Humphrey.
Yes, totally. And it's like, it's almost like, I got ahead of myself, but I feel like there's a part of Rufus that, because he experienced it. He dated Lily Vanderwoodson, before she was she was always Lily Vanderwoodson, but you know what I mean? Before she really
Lily
stepped
Rhodes.
into society and was, he dated Lily Rhodes.
Yeah.
And like, I almost feel like he was so aware of that there's a part of him that's like, I can keep my kids away from this and I can shield them from this because I don't want them to grow up this way, where Lorelai sort of does the same for Rory. Like, and I want to keep you here away from the way I grew up because I don't think it's the move. But no matter what, like, it's almost like keeping them from it, just like our parents kept us from these shows. It makes them want to find it more. They're gonna find it.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's so real. Wow. Oh, I can't wait to get into it. Okay. So before we dive into like that little Venn diagram, like we were talking about, and the character comparisons, relationship comparisons, and kind of episodic storyline comparisons, I want to just share some production behind the scenes fun facts with you and with our audience. So for anybody who doesn't know the show, which I imagine if you're listening to this episode, you're at least a little familiar with Gossip Girl. Gossip Girl aired from 2007 to 2012, I believe. So this was after Gilmore Girls. Like, I almost feel like Gilmore Girls aired until 2007, and then Gossip Girl kind of picked up the torch and carried it forward, if you want to think of it that way. So they aired at two very different times, but they did have some crossover as far as producers and writers, which I found really interesting because the storyline comparisons, I'm like, how much of this was maybe inspired?
Was there a little recycling? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So John Stevens, which is a big name in the Gilmore Girls universe, because he was a writer and a co-producer on Gilmore Girls from 2000 to 2004 and an executive producer on Gossip Girl from 2008 to 2010. And he wrote 4 episodes and directed 3. He's also, the only acting credit he's ever had is in Gilmore Girls. So like the Gilmore Girls fandom, big John Stevens fans, or at least very familiar with John Stevens. So to see his name every time that I watch the show, I'm just like, wow, there he is.
That's so funny. I had
crazy?
no idea. Yes.
I know. Yeah. Him being an executive producer on Gossip Girl had me going, oh, okay.
Makes a lot of sense. It is so interesting. It's like, it just is so funny to me too, because it feels like, and maybe there's a part of them that's like, all right, we've been in this like cozy, snuggly sort of world of Gilmore Girls, and now I'm ready to break into this more like rough around the edges sort of vibe, but like still finding those moments, like, because that's what he's great at, you know, like finding producing moments like that and creating them and putting them in the show, because
100%,
even the people who love Gossip Girl, like, you still need you can't all be edge. I don't know.
No, exactly. You still need the heart of the show.
Yeah. And both shows are kind of like aspirational in different ways, where it's like Gilmore Girls is aspirational in terms of like, I want to curate my cozy fall and my cozy like life and whatever. And then and the small town vibes and all of that. And then there's like the aspiration of, I want to move to the city and I want to like dress in Chanel and I want to do all these things. So it's interesting. Anyway, sorry.
No, I totally agree. No. This is why we have these conversations, because I agree they're aspirational in 2 very, very different ways.
Yeah.
And it makes city life feel like small town life. Everybody knows each other. Everybody's all up in everybody's business. You know, like that part of it still exists there, even if we're not in a small town. New York feels like a small town in Gossip Girl.
Right. And adding in the Gossip Girl, you know, character to like sort of connect everything, it keeps it feeling so small, you know, everyone knows everything about everyone.
Exactly. Jessica Queller, who I imagine is the namesake of Headmistress Queller.
I was going to say Headmistress.
Yes, exactly. Jessica Queller was a co-producer and writer on season 5 of Gilmore Girls. So after John Stevens was no longer with the show, Jessica Queller was on the show for one season 5. And then she was a co-executive producer and writer on Gossip Girl from 2007 to 2012, seasons 1, 2, 4, and 6.
Oh, that
so
makes
whenever I see her
sense.
name pop up, I'm like, Headmistress Queller.
Yeah, because Headmistress Queller is really only in the first few, before they graduate. So that would make so much sense. I was, and I'm going to botch it, and maybe you're going to mention something about this, but there's the Ostroff Center.
Yes, I was about to say that.
Were you about to say? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, no. What I was going to say is that, like, speaking of namesakes, I was looking up, later we'll talk about the backdoor pilot that Gossip Girl had.
Yes.
And I was looking at it just to see, why it didn't get picked up and why it fell through. Yeah. And it was like, the president of the CW, so-and-so Ostroff. And I was like, oh.
I was like, oh, okay. I know. I literally just learned that today. And I was like, is that a compliment or no? You know what I mean?
Know, like, right? I'm like,
do you want the Ostroff Center named after you? If you
this being a psych ward? I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know if I want that. Lee Shalit Schemmel, who was an executive producer, a co-executive producer on Gilmore Girls, directed a handful of episodes of Gossip Girl. And then Jamie Babbitt, who we love Jamie Babbitt in this house, she was a director on several episodes of Gilmore Girls, like Too Many to Name, and also Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, I think Bunheads as well.
Wow.
Like Amy really has big love for Jamie Babbitt.
Yeah.
She directed an episode of Gossip Girl and an episode of Pretty Little Liars.
No way. Wait, do you know which episodes?
No, I mean, I looked them up last night, but I didn't write them down. And then same with Michael Grossman. He did the same. He directed an episode of Gilmore Girls, an episode of Gossip Girl, and 7 episodes of Pretty Little Liars.
Wait, that's wild. I need to
the crossover is so fun.
So one of the things we're doing on our show is we've got our recaps on Thursdays, but then 2 Tuesdays a month. So like kind of we're going to take 2 episodes of recaps and kind of talk about the pop culture of that time.
Yeah,
not even necessarily
so
everything that was
smart.
like mentioned in the episode, but just sort of like what was going on in the world that could have shaped it. But then also our references, our music, things like that. But this is the type of stuff too that I just am like excited to dive into and maybe we'll have to figure out which episodes those are and sort of like do some comparing because I wonder if we would notice like a similar lens from a directorial standpoint. You know what I mean? Like between some of the episodes, like are they better suited to direct certain plot lines or things like that? It would just be interesting to dive into. So, I love this. I'm learning so much.
100%. Because like I almost wanted to if I had, because I had written it down when I would see their names come up on like on my rewatch. I was like, oh my God, like there's Jamie Babbitt, there's, you know, John Stevens. And I was like, if I really had the time, I would go back and individually watch to pick up on some of those things that maybe were similar, maybe a joke that was made, you know? So I think you should kind of like keep your ears open for that.
Christmas break. I will see you. We've got plans. Yes, this is what I will be doing.
Love. Okay, so moving out of production, Gossip Girl, like I mentioned, just like Gilmore Girls, had an attempted backdoor pilot in the penultimate episode of season 2 for Gossip Girl and season 3 for Gilmore Girls. I think that that's usually what people do when they're trying to deliver some sort of backdoor pilot. Is it's usually in the second to last episode of a season. I could be wrong, or like it's like right around the time of a season break.
I'm dumb. What is a backdoor pilot? I'm like, yeah. No, what is that?
What are you talking about?
Okay, so backdoor pilot.
That's okay. Yes. So a backdoor pilot is like Golden Girls had this. So many shows have had this. The Office, Golden Girls, Gossip Girl, and Gilmore Girls. They have episodes that are embedded within the season that are meant to serve as a jumping off point for another series. So the flashback episode in season 2 of Gossip Girl, where Brittany Snow plays a young Lillian Vanderwoodson and Kristen Ritter plays...
Yes, her sister.
Yes, her sister. That was... The episode was called Valley Girls and the show was supposed to be called Valley Girls.
Okay, this is ringing bells because I remember hearing... Maybe I've heard Brittany Snow's everywhere right now, which we
God, she's literally everywhere. After Hunting Wives,
everywhere.
Everybody was like, we want Brittany Snow everywhere.
But I'm like, were all these things in production at the same time? Because she's in the Murdoch thing, she's in The Beast and Me, and Hunting Wives. Like, it's crazy. But anyway.
I love her. I've always loved her. Did you watch American Dreams?
Her. No.
Oh, great show.
Great show. Okay, I'm in.
Brittany that was how I was introduced to her. 2002 to 2004, I think it was.
Okay.
It was a show that takes place in the 1960s, like American Bandstand years, and she's a dancer on American Bandstand.
She's got that look.
I know. She's like All American Family. It deals with race issues, but Milo Ventimiglia's in it, and he plays her love interest at one point. Yes.
Oh my God.
Great
Gorge.
show. We loved that show in my household. I was really sad when it ended. Yeah.
Okay, I need to look into this because I was like Brittany Snow, Hairspray, Pitch Perfect.
Hairspray,
like those were
100%. Yeah,
and it was like, okay, she shaped me. She literally shaped me.
100%. I wanted to be Brittany Snow.
Yes, 100%.
American Dreams, and then
John Tucker
her era
Must
when she
Die.
was. Yeah. Oh my God. John Tucker Must Die. She's amazing.
Come on.
Love Brittany Snow forever.
So
forever
good.
and ever
but
and ever. Amen.
That now I remember hearing that there was a pilot in the works, and okay, that makes so much sense because you know what? There must also be one. Well, I don't know if it's a pilot, but a backdoor pilot, but in Pretty Little Liars or Ravenswood.
Yes,
like
Ravenswood. They had a backdoor pilot. You're so
that
right.
Halloween
Okay, so
episode. Okay.
Make the Venn diagram bigger. Like
yes.
The Ravenswood episode was a backdoor pilot.
Okay.
And that one actually came to fruition. Both Gossip Girl and Gilmore Girls had failed backdoor pilots because the episode where Jess goes to California to find his dad.
Okay. Oh,
that's a backdoor pilot for a show that they were going to develop called Windward Circle. And what I love is that both of these are like they center the Gossip Girl and Gilmore Girls one center on a 17-year-old who's like a main character in the show. Obviously for Gossip Girl, it's a flashback, and they've gotten kicked out of school and they're seeking refuge in an estranged relative after not having support from their parental figures. It's the same for Jess. It's the same for Lily in two very different ways. Lily has a lot of privilege. I could compare her to another character, which I will later. And she is kind of like running away from it in a lot of ways. And so I feel like they just like they have a lot of different parallels, which is cool.
Totally.
I personally, I've always said that we did not need the Jess Mariano spinoff, and I have so many questions for Amy Sherman Palladino. If we ever get a chance to talk to her, like really sit down with her and talk to her, we must, because I have so many questions about what this backdoor pilot was going to bring, what what the story could have brought if we didn't have the backdoor pilot, etc.
Yeah.
But I really wish we got this pilot personally. I wish we got this series rather, because I would have loved to see the start. And I think that this is what they were trying to deliver to us. They wanted to show us the start of like Lily's journey. And I would have loved to have her meet Rufus.
I would love to see that too. And I think like I'm assuming, and you know what they say about that, but I'm assuming you're going to be comparing Lily to Lorelai.
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to jump ahead, but like I would love to get that of Lorelai and Emily.
I think of Lorelai and Emily.
I'm totally with you. 100%. 100%.
Lily is Lorelai if Lorelai had followed the plan.
Yes, exactly. I'm so with you, because even, the moment you bring, what's her name? Cece, I think. The moment you bring Lily's mother in there, it's like
100%.
Like they are at each other's throats. They're kind of like a little nasty to each other. There's so much love there. Like but it just immediately, it's like Lily reverts to young Lily when her mom is around, and it's almost like she's like a little girl walking around in her mom's heels being like, no, like I've got this, mother, like don't stay out of this. And it's like
100%.
Not that the mother's always helpful, but I totally am with you on that.
Yes. She's such a combo of Lorelai and Emily. And the Emily comparison is also really rooted in her relationship with Serena, but we'll get there. The other fun fact about the Gilmore Girls Venn diagram is that in season 3, episode 5 of Gossip Girl, when spoilers, Rufus and Lily get married, Sonic Youth performs at their reception, and they also perform in Gilmore Girls in the season 6 finale. So Amy and Dan's last episode, they had a bunch of musicians come and play as like the troubadours. Do you remember that episode?
Yes,
where
I
there's
do.
Like a ton of them. Sonic Youth performed.
Oh my God,
so when I saw them in Rufus's loft, I was like, wait, oh my God, that's amazing.
Wait, that's so interesting, because it's also like, they're just, music is such a huge, massive part of Gossip Girl too, but it's just like, I wonder if they're working those connections, like, we already used them once, so that we could use, it's interesting to think of where all that comes into play.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love it.
It's really cool. And then the final thing, because there are other like episode and storyline comparisons that we can make that I'll talk about later, but Gilmore Girls exists in the Gossip Girl world, which I love, because in season 2, episode 16,
much better fit for Yale than that Rory. Yes.
Blair's up all night watching Gilmore Girls, because for those of you who might not be familiar with like the inner workings of the show, Blair Waldorf, one of the main characters, is like absolutely obsessed with going to Yale. She is going to Yale. Her like relatives went to Yale. She is a Yale girly. She wants to go so badly. And so she hangs her hat on the prospect of going there, and it is an interesting ride, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I love that her Dorota was like, her maid was like, we all heard you up all night watching Gilmore Girls. And I just love that Gilmore Girls exists in the Gossip Girl world.
I love it too. And I love that Blair loves Gilmore Girls. I think that it's such an important fact about her. Like,
I know.
And here's the thing, like I was just like watching some videos, researching for episode 1, just to get into some like, background info, and it's interesting the way that the characters were supposed to transpire. Like, they said that Chuck was really not supposed to be one of the main cast. He was supposed to be like a full-on villain who never had a redemption arc. Like, he was just supposed to kind of be this person that like came in. And so that's why in the pilot, he is so bad and irredeemable.
So evil. Yeah.
But they fell in love with him. They loved him. People, like, there was something about him. And so that's why he ended up staying. But at the same time, Blair was really just supposed to be a villain and a mean girl. They were like, she was supposed to be like this evil mean girl. And they said, because of Leighton Meester, we learned that's just not all Blair is. Like, she found these moments in Blair and the nuance and all these, you know, that's the way I talk about Ariana Grande's Glinda, but like, she found all these little moments to sort of like bring out. And there were so many times during the pilot that I was just like, what a gifted actress she is. She's finding these little moments just to change her eyebrows at a certain line from somebody else, like that make me see Blair for who she is. And like, I'm such a Blair apologist to the day I die, but I feel like her loving Gilmore Girls is like, I'm just like, I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's heartwarming to me. It's like she needs the comfort. She has no comfort in her life.
To her more.
100%. And like, I feel like it's a show she's watched a zillion times. But I love her. Then that Rory. I love that she says
Rory.
That Rory. It's so funny.
I love that they gift her a bulldog called Handsome Dan and she calls him Handsome. She doesn't call him Dan. She calls him Handsome.
Handsome. I just, it's so good. But like,
it's so good.
I love that you call that out. I think it's such a crucial, like, I love these little bits and pieces that we get of Blair that like really show us who she is, because she's not the easiest person in the world to love. So
she is not, but
yes, she is.
I have, and yet we're obsessed with her, and yet she's everything we want to be.
Everything.
And with Chuck, I can't believe. I mean, I can and I can't believe that they were meant to be these characters, both of them, that were irredeemable in the creator's eyes, and they end up becoming my two favorite characters in the entire
My two favorite character. And I actually was like stressed out about this because I was like watching the pilot and I was like, oh my God, like we're going to have to talk about this. And these are some like horrific things. And it's like, how do you come back from it? Like in later seasons, how am I supposed to root for him and Blair when like this is where he begins?
You'll find a way. You'll find a way, because I felt the same way.
You will find a fucking way. And like all, it's just like, but that helped me like to hear that like it really was intentional. He was supposed to be that bad. And like, and then he wasn't. And it's so, I just think but they're two, and I don't even I hesitate to say he's misunderstood at this point in the show because like, you know, there's no misunderstanding what he tried to do here. But like, they are two people who are so tortured and like, and misunderstood in many, many ways, but they sort of like understand each other. And it's, I love it.
I know. That's when I have to sometimes pull myself out of the narrative. And I'll get into the character comparison in a minute, but like with Chuck and Jess, like Jess's arc in season 3 leads him down a path where he does also like lose himself in a moment and less intentionally force himself on Rory at a party. And it makes it really, really hard to then root for him in the eyes of the fandom that is like, hey, this character did something really, really horrible.
Right.
And that's when you kind of have to pull yourself out of the narrative a little bit, or choose to, and be like, what were the writers intending to do with this character?
Yeah.
And so with Chuck, I think we have to kind of do the same thing, where the writers really wanted him to be irredeemable and then changed their minds about him along the way.
Right.
And they do make him an incredibly redeemable character. And I think the same with Jess. The writers were setting him up to do something. I don't even know if they really viewed him doing this thing as that awful. I don't think that was the intention. Chuck's intentions were to be really evil and
100%
and predatory. Whereas I think with Jess, it's a little more nuanced even within the narrative. But with the writers, they were like, he's literally ruining everything in his life to serve the purpose of this backdoor pilot. Like he's going to run away. He's going to leave. And I think that that's like something we have to do sometimes with characters like this is take ourselves out of the narrative and put ourselves in the writer's shoes.
I'm with you 100%. I love how you said that because it's something we really struggled with during Pretty Little Liars, you know, like the Ezria storyline. In the books, they are not together. Like they have a little tryst and then guess what? Ezra goes to jail. Like, you know, and that's
as he should have.
As he should. Like that's what should happen. And like, I mean, I remember watching it as a kid being like, yep, we're supposed to fall in love with our English teachers. Like,
correct.
Makes sense to me. You know, like I fully was like, all right, cool. Here's the handbook to high school. Like, got it. But it was tough because we're watching it and we're coming down so hard on Ezra and we're still having people who are like, how dare you say anything negative about Ezra? And I'm just like, I want you to love yourself and realize that, like, this is not a relationship to look up to. But at the same point, you have to get on board because if you don't get on board, you're going to have a really unsatisfying watch of the show because at the
you're going to
end,
hate the show.
They're going to get married, you know? And it's like, of course, we all have couples that we don't love and they end up together and whatever. But for it to be one of these main couples of the show, I do think it's a really good point. Like, you have to put yourself in the writer's shoes and realize that the writers, they couldn't possibly get rid of Ezra because people would have stopped watching the show, you know?
Totally.
And part of that is the chemistry between Ian Harding and Lucy and just who Ian Harding was and all of these things. But they kind of had to roll with the punches. And as an audience, you have to kind of, remove yourself, see what they were trying to do and decide if you're going to do it for the sake of the watch, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And it's tough because as women, we're of course like, okay,
yes,
we inherently know this is wrong. And if we saw this happening in real life outside of the narrative of a TV show, we would be like, absolutely fuck this person. No way, no how, irredeemable. But it's so different when you put it within the scope of a narrative of a television show with writers who are purposefully and intentionally writing characters to do certain things and redeem themselves in certain ways. It's so nuanced. And also then at the end of the day, we have to remember it's a fictional world that we're talking about.
Exactly. And like, and at the end of the day, a lot of these writers, like, I don't even believe that they really knew what was going to happen on a week-to-week basis. It's like, week to week is a little dramatic, but like, how is everyone receiving this storyline? And then that's really going to inform how we move forward. And how do the actors handle the storyline? And that's going to inform. Like, and so it's like, it's not all. I mean, I think learning that Chuck was supposed to be fully bad, I was like, that's really good for me to hear because it makes me feel better about redeeming him later.
Finding him so redeemable.
Because they needed to do it, and they made that choice too. And in a way, they're saying it's okay. We know he's all bad. We know it's bad in this episode.
We know it started very, very
we
bad.
We have to kind of move on from it. And like
100%.
And in real life, I'm so not that person.
Again,
but which is why it's tough, you know?
That's why it's tough. But I am with you that like you, at least for me, I just fall so deeply in love with Chuck and his love for Blair.
The way
their love.
Their love. And even though, again, it's so toxic. Like, it's
I was going to say, even though I look at them sometimes, I'm like, you guys.
Yes. Well, it's so funny because like I'm watching it with Anthony and he's like, what the hell do you mean you like them together? Like, blah, blah, blah. He actually was a major Dan and Blair shipper. Like, he loved them together because I know. I was like, that's crazy. Yeah.
Brett and I, on the contrary, Brett and I are watching, and Brett comes in because he loves Gossip Girl. I don't know if I ever told you this, but Brett and I were considering starting a Gossip Girl podcast.
Oh my God.
Years ago.
If you do, like, Couples Up, and we need to have a double date Couples Up, and
it'd be so funny because Brett loves this show so much, and he's such a Chuck. He's like Chuck Bass. He's such a Chuck stan.
Yeah.
But then like, you know, I got to the point where Dan and Blair, like something is a brewing, and he comes in and he's not watching it with me, but he'll just like sit down sometimes and watch because he's seen the show so many times. He comes in and just stares at the TV and goes, this storyline was so fucking weird, and walks out. Like, he's just like, why did this was such a weird choice? And I was like, they ran out of things to do.
Literally, it's giving Spencer and Caleb.
Out of couples.
I hate it. Yeah, exactly. Like,
I have to tell you a secret.
You like them?
It's
okay.
I loved them. I loved them. I was like, wait, I so ship this. But I mean, Hannah and Caleb forever. Hannah and Caleb always.
It's tough because I love Hannah and I loved Spencer. My first watch ever, I was like, Spencer's my favorite by far. And watching it again, as we said, like when you watch it through a certain lens, it really changes how you see the show, and like you 100%. Dive in so deep. And so I really came out of it like such a Hannah stan. So it was like, anything that is done to hurt Hannah, how dare you? Like, but I feel like if I had been watching it in real time and gotten there with Spencer as my favorite couple, or as my favorite character in the beginning, that I might have been like all on, because I love Spencer and I love Caleb. And so like, why wouldn't I love them together? And it's interesting because Spencer and Caleb sort of did something similar to Dan and Blair, where like they piqued each other's academic parts of each other's brains and like the artistic parts of the, you know, like they stimulated a different part that was interesting to watch.
Absolutely. And I also feel like Troyan and what's the actor who plays Caleb? What's his
Tyler
name?
Blackburn.
Oh, Tyler Blackburn. their chemistry was actually really great. Just like as people, I'm like, you guys could probably both have chemistry with a tree.
That's what I'm saying. Like the two of them, like put them with anyone. Like I was sunk for any. I mean, really, for as soon as Tyler Blackburn came on my screen, I was like, that's a man, and that's a real man. Like I just loved it. Yeah, and so I think they both were they're really great actors. Like they really are. And especially in a show where like everyone might not be as good as them, when you put them together, it's like, oh my God, how is the chemistry not going to sell us, you know?
Totally. Anywho. Absolutely. And I was waiting for someone to meet Spencer at like her intellectual level. Yeah. And I love Spencer and Toby together. So like once that was then, you know, once the needle went back in that direction, I was like, okay, fine.
Right.
Like,
right.
yeah, Spencer belongs with Toby and Caleb and Hannah belong together. Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, for that moment, I was like, I'm not mad about this.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it.
Totally. I was going to get deeper, but I won't.
I know we could talk about this for literally hours, but with Dan and Blair, it's just like I agree with you that they could like scratch that intellectual itch, but it just didn't work. And even as like on like a chemistry level, even though I think Penn and Leighton are both phenomenal actors,
fabulous.
I didn't feel the chemistry between them
at all.
Personally,
I think it was just we had built up way too much of this almost like sibling-ish relationship between them. You know what I mean? Where it was 100%. Like crossing over just felt really weird and like I don't know, like it just didn't work for me. And also I think same with Caleb and Spencer, like they're two really smart people. Dan and Blair are two really smart people, and we kind of don't need to see them bring that out of each other. Like having Blair with Chuck and having Hannah with Caleb, it's like we like to see that Caleb appreciate Hannah and her intelligence in ways that aren't as obvious as Spencer's, and like they don't need to do that for each other. But it's like Caleb finds it in Hannah, and I don't know if I'm making sense, but
no. I'm so with you. But I just really deeply root for Chuck and Blair as individuals, but mostly together. And
no, me too.
I like it's what drives the show forward for me, because I think that I'm on season 5 right now in my rewatch, and I think I would probably fall off if I didn't know where we were headed with the two of them, because I'm just like, okay,
is
like everybody else, I'm just kind of it's Charlie.
Can't stand.
Charlie's here, and you know Elizabeth Hurley's here, and I'm like, what are y'all doing here? Anyway, can't stand. Kind of a weird season. I kind of forgot a lot of things that happened, I think because I blocked them out, because I was like, I don't really care about this. I'm waiting for us to get to season 6. But anyway, moving out of the like production crossover and getting into the character comparison, I'm really curious to see if ours align here, because I know they do for Lily, but let's talk about all the other players at hand. So starting with Serena van der Woodsen, because I do think that at the beginning she is kind of billed as like the star of the show, and in a lot of ways when I think of Gossip Girl, I do think of Blake Lively, but for me Blair really is like the girl. But 100%. Starting with Serena, I find her to be a crossover between Lorelai and Rory.
I'm totally with you. I feel the exact same. I think that, and honestly, like it's going to come from a place, and I know that you'll understand this, like I do just love to roast Rory in the same way that I love to roast Aria, and the same way that I love to roast Serena. Like
very similar energies.
Yes, they have that like main character, kind of boring, also kind of like walking through the world with a little bit of disregard for like how they hurt other people, and
you're so right,
somehow framing themselves as like the protagonist, the good people. But it's like I think of Serena as like the worst. Like she is the last person I want as my best friend. Like I don't think she's a good friend. And there are a lot of times that I'm like, Rory, like the other thing is they're not girls, and Blair, to me, girl, you know, and I just don't think Serena is. I don't really think Rory is, and I don't think Aria is. And not to bring her into the conversation, but you know what I'm saying. It's a similar kind of trope, but it's also I totally
agree.
What is it about those early 2000s that like those were the girls that we were like, and this is the blueprint, like
100%.
And people still feel this way about Rory, I would say the most, like, you know, because she also is the most forgivable.
I agree, but I do think Rory has gotten more as social media has expanded and the conversation has kept going. She's become more of a villain. People really love to hate her. They really love to hate her.
does that go hand in hand with like the evolution we're all having, where we're realizing like, okay, it's actually this pick me trope that was really popular back then. And it was like every girl sort of like, there's something about being a middle school, high school girl and thinking that the most important relationships in your life are not actually the ones of your girl best friends or your sisters or whatever. And it's like,
correct.
I feel like part of that is maturing, and Gen Z and Gen X are, at least the girls, are ahead of us in that. Like they caught on to that quick. So I feel like they are viewing this through this other lens that we didn't have at the time, because we just weren't like as evolved in that way. And now looking back, we're like, oh, we totally see it, but we have such a love for these characters. We're like people who are coming into it for the first time in 2025 who are, you know, feminism isn't such a taboo word anymore. So they are thinking with that lens of, I want to see girls on my screen. And if you're not a girl's girl, you're maybe the villain. And like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I
think
totally agree.
Maybe the perception of Rory has changed with the perception just of like girlhood in general.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I also think it's like I totally agree with you. And I think it's also like in addition to like pick me energy, which I don't necessarily think Rory had. I think Rory had not like other girls energy. And I think Serena has very similar energy as does Aria.
Yes.
You know, it's like, I'm not like other girls.
Aria's fully pick me though, and I will just say
is.
it. But yes,
she is.
You're right. It's the
but
not like other
gives
girls
the vibe
disease.
of I'm not like other girls. Yes. And Serena Vanderwoodson is not like other girls. And I think the other reason why I put like a little mix of Lorelai in there is because she is very effortlessly cool.
Yes.
You know, she does come from wealth. She has friction with her mom who wants to control her lifestyle. She's down to earth when she wants to be, but then uses her privilege when it benefits her. Like wants to date the guy her mother doesn't approve of.
Yes.
But like then like from a Rory standpoint, like you said, isn't really a girl's girl, though she thinks she is. She really thinks she is.
Yes.
And in some ways she can be. Like sometimes in her friendship with Blair, I think she does put her needs first, but like she kind of wavers on that too.
Well, and even sorry.
No, that's okay.
No, I'm just thinking like in the pilot, like, okay, so we could look at it as like Serena's having girls girl moment in the pilot because with Jenny, you know, she is coming to Jenny's rescue and she is, you know, helping her figure out what color dress to wear to the kiss on the lips party and all these things. However, it's always sort of like an ulterior motive. Like her helping Jenny out, she's on a date with her brother, you know, and she wants to seem like I'm not like these people at this party. Like we need to, you know, go do this. She's doing the right thing, but it's not always like motivated by I want to do the right thing. I think sometimes it's motivated by I want to piss my mom off, or I want this guy to think I'm not like other girls, or I want, you know, or even maybe it is that she just wants to be that person, but like she can't help but be who she is. And I think you're so right with like, and another thing they were saying about casting Serena, they're like, she had to be an it girl. Like she just had to have something about her where you're like, she walks in a room and everyone's like, who is that? And Lorelai has that. She 100% has the effortless, cool girl vibe. And then there's the same thing, like, you know, I don't want to be like my mom, and as a result you end up acting a lot like your mom, you know, like revolting against that, the way that she was raised, especially with I think Serena and Lorelai coming from similar like income, you know, structures,
background,
like
upbringing.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
It's like it's in their nature to sort of revolt from it, and I do feel like there's something about the rich girl who doesn't want to be the rich girl that is cool, you know. It just like
100%. Yeah,
it works.
And she works that in her personality when it best serves her.
Yes.
Like she wants to believe she's not privileged, but she definitely is. Yes. And I do think that's a quality of Lorelai, both Lorelai and Rory's.
Well, yeah. And I think it's really interesting to note for Lorelai too, because it's like there's this part of Lorelai that's like, yes, she rejects everything about how she was raised and her parents and all these things, but it's like at the end of the day, you actually can't outrun your privilege. Like you have it and it's in you. And so even if we're just talking about the education you've had, or we're just talking about the opportunities that you were afforded as a kid, like you can't get rid of that even if you wanted to. And now that's part of you. And you're gonna benefit from that in a lot of ways. And also there's the part of it where it's like, you still know at the end of the day, you can go knock on your parents' door and do dinner with them and get the help that you need, you know?
Yeah.
You know that they're not, you don't have that at all. It's a lot different than somebody like Dan Humphrey, for example, or Jenny, who's like, well, I don't have that so I have to be a little scrappier. And
100%.
So like Serena and Lorelai, they can never fully be as scrappy as maybe they want to be.
Yeah.
Because they just inherently, you know, have the silver spoon disease, like, and they can't help it. It's just
they
who
can't
they are.
help it. They were born into it.
And it's also funny how we get Rory sort of like, you know, especially in the beginning, like it's like, well, let's go. I like my grandparents, you know, she's like kind of having a little bit, right? Like, do you feel like this at all? Like, I feel like she's more forgiving of her grandparents than her mother, where Serena is the same with Cece up to a certain point.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like,
until it starts to affect her.
Exactly. And it's like, it gotta be so funny as the Lorelai and the Lilies of the world watching this being like, okay, well, I did the exact same thing you're doing. And like you wanting to be close with my mother is actually the antithesis of what you think you're doing, you know?
Correct. Yeah. And it's interesting that, to your point, like when Lily/Lorelai end up being right, Serena and Rory respectively are like, oh yeah, you were totally right about this, and why didn't I listen? And you know, it is like they are forgiving up until a certain point when it starts to really affect them. And you see that in the debutante episode in season 1 when Cece doesn't approve of Dan, and you know, when Richard and Emily don't approve of Dean in season 2. So it's like, it's so fascinating to me how they can flip-flop. And Serena and Lily's relationship is very different from Rory's relationship with Lorelai. They are best friends. You cannot compare the two perfectly at all, because Lorelai and Rory are an enigma. But the weaker parts of their relationship do kind of parallel, I think, Serena and Lily.
Totally.
Especially in season 6 when there's a rift.
Yes. And like we get little moments with Serena and Lily where it's like, that could have been possible.
It could have been
like that, but it just, Serena was just never and Lily wasn't. Lily is too self-absorbed. Like, you know, she just unfortunately, like, I do love Lily.
I do too. Yeah.
Like, I can't help it, but like,
I know
I
also love her relationship with Chuck.
Yeah. Oh, I love her relationship with Chuck. I love it. It makes him so much more likable to me.
Yeah.
And, but it is like, if I really want to take a step out of it too, I'm like, Lily, this I know she doesn't know it, but it's like, this is this kid who like did try to assault your daughter in episode 1. And now like, if I'm Serena, I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know, a little bit about it.
But that's what I mean about making the big small in the show, is that like something like that.
Yes.
It's like, Serena, hello.
100%.
No, I'm with you.
100%.
I'm with you. Anyway, moving into Blair Waldorf. I would love to hear your thoughts first.
Okay. For me, and I feel like this is like, in my mind, this is like the obvious one. So maybe it's not the right one, but for me, it's Paris. Like it's, you don't agree?
I said that she is the perfect hybrid of Emily Gilmore and Paris Geller.
Oh, that is so good, Tara. Yes, 100.
She's the perfect hybrid.
100%. That's because I kept being like, it's not a perfect comparison.
No.
Not that it has to be, but like,
no.
There are a lot of things about Paris that I wouldn't ascribe to Blair, but
no.
I love Paris, and I feel like if you love Paris, you love Blair. You know what I mean? Like,
well, because to your point, with it just from a casting standpoint and a character standpoint from the writer's angle, you said that like they intended for her to be just this like villain with no redeemable qualities. And with Liza Weil auditioning for the role of Paris, she wasn't necessarily supposed to be a series regular on the show. They wrote the character for her because she wasn't right for Rory.
To be a nemesis to Rory. Yeah.
To be a nemesis.
Exactly.
And then she ended up being like one of the characters, the people love Paris.
People love her. And she's got like, it's also like the way she's written, like the one-liners, but it also, it's not just the lines, it's the delivery. Like it's from an acting standpoint, both of these women just found what they needed to find. And it is like, I know that you know this, like, and I talk about this a lot of times with Phoebe, who does not have an acting background, but I'm like, from an acting perspective, I've played a lot of mean girls and I've played a lot of villains, and they all, you know, you can't think you're a villain. You have to find the good. You have to find the motivation that doesn't like, crazy people don't think they're crazy, villains don't think they're villains. And so I just think they're so gifted in finding that, like both in Blair and Paris, because they could have been so one-dimensional mean girl. But instead it's like, I feel for Paris. And like, especially the Paris, Rory, Blair, Serena trope, where it's like, God, everything is so easy for you. You know, it's this idea that like Paris 100%. And Blair try so hard and work so hard, and it just kind of feels like it's never enough, you know?
Yeah.
And Blair and Serena and Rory just kind of waltz through life. Not that Rory, you know, isn't like working hard on certain things, but it's like,
no, but a lot of things feel like they get handed to them,
and things work out for them. And
they just like work out. Yeah. And then you've got Paris like, what the fuck? Especially when it comes to the college comparison.
Absolutely.
Because as we know, like Paris is just like Harvard.
Yes.
And same with Rory. And it's funny that they both end up going to Yale, because Blair is Yale. And Yale wants Serena Vanderwoodson.
I mean, and we all have that friendship too. And I think that
100%.
Like, it's killer. And it's like, it's so great. I love that part of the show. It's one of my favorite storylines. It's also, there are a few moments for Blair that are really hard for me to watch, and that would be one of them at the party. But at the same time, I'm like, Serena deserves it. Like, you know, when Serena takes Blair's answer and at the Yale party, and it's just like, Blair acts crazy, and
100%.
But she's acting like it's her inner child, you know. It's like I just see it so differently, but like it's a very similar thing with Paris. And I think Rory and Serena are also always given the benefit of the doubt, whereas Paris and Blair, I think most people's first impression of them, because they've learned to be so guarded and have this hard exterior, they're like automatically thought of as mean girls, so they automatically have to work a little bit harder to win people over, whereas Rory and Serena are kind of like bleh, like whatever, and so people just automatically are like, well, look at these pretty nice girls, they must be good, you know, and they must deserve all these things.
They're definitely less threatening, and I think that Blair and Paris both come in with a very abrasive energy,
very
much. But
much.
another character that comes in with a very abrasive energy is Emily Gilmore.
Yes,
and
100%.
But she is also a character that like seems not necessarily irredeemable from the beginning, but seems very like, oh, she's just like the bitchy mom whose daughter ran away, and she's now like the rich, uppity, like snob. And then you realize that there's so much more to her.
There's so much hurt too. Like it's like you realize like
there's a lot of pain there.
There's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of like not wanting to be rejected and not wanting to like I see so much of the dynamic between Emily and Lorelai. It's just like both of them, but more so Emily, trying to protect herself from getting hurt by her daughter again, you know? And it's like, well, if I just keep you here and I just, oh, you're always like that, and oh, blah, blah, blah. You know, if I lead with that, then it's like less easy for you to break my heart when you don't come to dinner, or when you don't let me have my granddaughter here, or when you whatever. Totally. And I think that that's a big thing for Blair. And I think also that being raised in high society too, like Emily and Blair, they have been raised to look for ulterior motives, to protect themselves. They've been raised in this like cutthroat kind of world that Lorelai has protected Rory from. And in a lot of ways, I don't know that Lily has protected Serena at all, but like Lorelai's created this world that Rory doesn't have to feel that as much. And that's a luxury that Emily and Blair do not have. And so they are a result of that. And it's like they had to do what they had to do to survive. And I don't blame them.
No, nor do I. But that's what makes them so interesting.
Yes. Oh, they're so layered. Like
they're
I would just love
layered.
to be a fly on the wall. I just want Paris and Emily to just like go out for drinks together, just them two, and Blair actually. Let's throw all three of them together.
Oh
and
my
just
God,
like, could you
I would
imagine?
die. Oh my
the bar
God.
would catch on fire. Like
I know the bar would
literally
be lit on fire, but they would take over the world.
Oh,
they lit the
God.
fire.
I need
yeah,
it.
100%. And the thing is that like we don't really know a lot about Emily and like her past. I mean,
Yeah.
So I think it would be really easy. We talk often about the prequel series that could exist between Emily and Richard in the Gilmore Girls universe. And I feel like Blair Waldorf would be the prototype for young Emily Gilmore. I mean, her ambition, her
100%.
kind of cutthroat mentality
Even
when
her
it comes to every
style.
aspect of her style.
Her
That's
sort
what
of
I'm
like
saying.
old money, classic,
Yes.
sophisticated.
Yes,
luxe
exactly.
Style. Yeah.
The other fun fact, which is just so niche, is that I believe it's season 1. Richard makes a comment about how Emily was like a fierce field hockey player on the field hockey team and like took out all the girls. And
we get Blair's sport when she's at gym and she
just
knocks her
absolutely
like,
annihilates Serena. And I was like, that is so Emily Gilmore coded.
Yes,
to a T.
yes.
She
the
does a lot of
stressed
things.
out. Yes, it's like that stressed out, misunderstood girl to athletic superhuman pipeline is what Regina George is in there.
Regina George, exactly.
You gotta have a little anger. You gotta have a little fire in you that
exactly.
other girls just
And
don't
like
have.
that's their competitive side. And I can just see, you know, Emily and Richard being what Blair and Chuck become.
Oh, I love that.
I do think that Blair has a lot more drive to be like Emily Gilmore is fine with her identity being Richard Gilmore's wife.
Yes.
Blair does not want that for herself.
No,
in that
hell
regard,
no.
she's much more Paris. She's like, no, I'm going to be a doctor.
Exactly.
Paris.
That's why neither can be perfect. Like she has to. It is really a hybrid.
She really
of both.
is the hybrid.
Yeah,
but I do
totally.
see like the love and the relationship in general between Emily and Richard being somewhat of a variation of what Blair and Chuck.
I
are
totally
towards, you know?
totally see that, and like I could just see. I would just love to get also some content of Blair and Chuck like as parents and moving on and just kind of seeing how they, because I think you're right, and it's like we don't get that for Emily, like the pre, you know, the prequel story, but we don't have the post show story for Blair and Chuck, and I bet there would be a lot of overlap. It's a little hard for me to see for Chuck just because right now in my mind he's villainous because I just watched the first episode, but like, and I don't know. Do you think Rich like? Well, I got, but there's also an aspect where it's like when you're raised in this world, I think it was different, and I think that a lot of people made a lot of mistakes, and then they don't give that vibe as full-grown adults. You wouldn't expect it. So,
well, let's talk about Chuck because I think that his character comparisons, like I kind of want to take a little bit from like more than two characters and put them into Chuck because he is, like you said, like so different at the beginning. Because at the beginning I put like, okay, he's kind of like a Tristan Logan combo. He is, you know, like wealthy bad boy with daddy issues who's seemingly a bachelor until he only has eyes and softness for one girl.
Yes.
You know, like Logan and Tristan. And like Logan is down bad for Rory Gilmore, like Chuck is for Blair.
Yeah.
But also has the redemption arc of a Jess Mariano. And that's the thing is like you're rooting for him because even though he seems like he's kind of irredeemable in moments, for Chuck it's at the beginning and for Jess it's sort of towards the middle of his journey. Right. The redemption arc is what makes you fall in love with him.
Right. It's so true. And I think
and root for him.
When I was thinking of like who I would compare Chuck to, I was like coming up blank. Like I was like, I don't know that I see him really. And at first, my first instinct was Jess though. And I was like, is this just because I like Jess the most and I'm like Chuck and Blair? And I think it's just a little bit of that like bad boy vibe where it's like, everyone's a little wary. Everyone's like, I don't know about this. And that's sort of the energy towards pursuing any like romance with these characters. And then they sort of like turn out to be what you thought they might be. And you feel stupid. Like it's that moment of like, God, I really should have kind of pegged this from the get-go. Everyone said it. Am I dumb? You know, like about like when Chuck trades Blair for the hotel. It's like Blair feels so fucking stupid. Like the writing was on the wall, you know, and it's not that I think the writing is on the wall for Jess, but I just think just coming in as sort of bad boy Jess, like that is sort of the energy. But I also see a lot of the Logan and sort of just the smarmy smoothness of Logan, the I'm Chuck Bass kind of thing, you know.
And his future in a lot of ways is really laid out for him in the same way that Logan's is, and that he has this very, very volatile relationship with his father that is like he wants his approval so badly in some ways. I think Chuck wants the approval from his father more so, especially in like a post-mortem kind of way.
Yeah.
But Logan is constantly, I don't think seeking the validation from his father in as such an intense way, but like knows that he has something he has to live up to, and therefore like that kind of creates tension between him and his dad. So that's the other parallel I draw there, is not just in his relationship with Rory or you know, romantically. It's just moreover like his familial expectations that are placed on him.
It's almost like they want the approval of their dad so bad. They fear they're never going to get it, so that they create this like rift or this whatever, this wall up where it's like, if I don't want it that bad, never getting it can't hurt me kind of a thing. And it's so they sort of like shield themselves a little bit with all of this tumultuousness in their relationships with their fathers, like working 100%. For it, but also kind of like sticking it to their dad in a way too, or trying to prove also like, I don't need you to be great. I don't need, you know, I don't know. It's like, it's so complicated, and it's like the daddy issue aspect that makes them also a lot more vulnerable. It gives them a lot of their vulnerability. It gives them a lot of their likability a little bit too, where it's like, oh, I can relate to that. You know, there's not a lot about you I can relate to, but I can relate to that. And
totally.
Yeah. No, totally. I'm with you. It's
and that's why he's
a
little bit of like a culmination of a few different characters. Because like you could take the daddy issues from Logan and maybe even Tristan. Tristan is really smarmy, like at the beginning. He's more smarmy than Logan, especially because Tristan's in high school. And Logan we meet in college. He's a little bit, I mean, he still has his immaturity, but he's a lot more, I think, we're meeting Logan at a time that we would be meeting Chuck in like season 3, you know?
I think I'm really with you on the Tristan thing. And I kind of didn't even like think about him when I was thinking about Chuck. And like,
I know.
I think you're so right. Like, I think you're so, it's really, really like, and I would put the Logan and the Tristan, like, I feel like
they're kind of one.
Yeah. Like that's,
and then you've got Jess over here. And then like you also have like a little bit of Richard, because like to your point earlier about like us not really knowing much about Emily and Richard, but seeing maybe some of their future, or seeing some of their past in Chuck and Blair, and seeing some of Chuck and Blair's future in Emily and Richard. I do think that like based on what Richard is described as in the show, I don't think he's as like, I hate to keep using this word, but as smarmy as Chuck is, especially at the beginning and the ways he's introduced to us. But he is maybe, like, he is described as a quote unquote Lothario. Like, he is meant to be a little bit paralleled up against Logan. That like in college, he was just kind of like a man trying to have a good time. And so it's like we could kind of put that up, you know, alongside Chuck. I don't know.
And also I think, the way it's like this imperfect partner who they're willing to like just think about Emily and Richard, and it's like Chuck and Blair, the way that they're willing to really work through adversity, and kind of like they don't write each other off for the mishaps that happen in their relationship. But it's like although again, like Emily being comfortable just being like Richard's wife, I don't see that as much for Blair, but the power couple dynamic where it's like, we're going to be these really wealthy, powerful, sophisticated people, and we're not going to let the cracks show to the public, and we're going to, you know,
but it's
lead
us against the world
as a united front, but it's us exactly. Like, yes, totally.
Okay, so moving into Nate.
Yes.
Who we haven't really talked a lot about. Mostly because bless his heart, he's super forgettable.
He's super forgettable.
And for those reasons, I have him as like a Dean, Christopher, Logan kind of crossover.
Yes.
Because I feel like the expectations that are put on him for like his future are very kind of Logan coded. Yes. But you could also put that in the same category as Christopher. It's like angsty about the expectations that his family puts on him, but also like a little boring, like Dean, like a little kind of like forgettable, no offense.
Yeah.
But will never quit the girl they fell in love with in high school.
Exactly.
And I think that's Nate.
Yes. I was just going to say that. I think there's like that piece of Dean or that piece of Nate that's very Dean-esque is like his moral compass goes out the window when it comes to Serena. Like,
correct.
He has blinders on to everything else when Serena walks in the room, and that feels very Dean and Rory. Like,
100%.
And what's interesting though is that like, why does Nate feel so much more redeemable to me than Dean? You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
I just am like, good guy Nate, even though like he fully did cheat on Blair with her best friend. Like, it's like, I don't know if you've been ever talking about this. We're like, who are we more mad at for that? You know, like, and in a way for me, I'm like, I'm really pissed at Serena for getting on a train and leaving the next day and like running away from this and being the best friend. And like, you kind of expect shitty behavior from men more than you want to expect it from like your sister. Like, men come and go, but like your best friend is forever. But it's like that kind of a moment with Nate, and also just his judgment just is not always strong. Like, as much as he's like got a heart of gold, and I believe that about Nate, I think he can very easily be swayed by the people around him and by his heart. And so sometimes he's just not thinking with his head. He's not the smartest dude. Like, and that's kind of sometimes what I think about Dean and what I think about Christopher. I don't feel that way about Logan. So that's why my Logan is kind of like coming in as like a touch at the end, but it's mostly Dean and Christopher. Like Logan feels like who Nate could have been. Like if Nate didn't smoke so much pot. You know what I mean? Like totally. Kind of 100%. Yeah. Could have been that. But the other thing is that like that is very Christopher coded. And what also I think makes him Christopher coded is that I feel like the relationship between Blair and Nate is very Lorelai and Christopher. Yeah. That's a really good point. These are the two that our parents, like, we loved each other. We were each other's first love. Like, but they were always rooting for the two of us to be together and like, you know, had conversations about it. And I think that they are what Lorelai and Christopher would have been, you know, had Lorelai not gotten pregnant. They were the plan. Right. They were the dynastic plan. 100%. I'm totally with you. I mean, we just being together forever. And it's like, I totally see if Blair had gotten knocked up from Nate. Exactly. They 100% would have gotten married, and that would have just been that. Like, or, well, you know, probably wouldn't have been that. They probably would have, there would have been a similar story likely to Lorelai and Christopher. But it's like, their parents would have just been like, well, okay, that's, you know, what was you're supposed to be together, so you're gonna just make this work, and it's gonna whatever, and you might be miserable, but it's at least plan. You're together. So, exactly. But on that note, you could also make the same comparison about Serena and Nate being Lorelai and Christopher, because like Nate is always going to carry a torch for Serena for whatever reason. Yes. Absolutely. And I actually feel that way about Logan and Rory. Well, Logan is always going to carry a torch for him answering the phone with his wife in bed, you know, like exactly. Literally. Like it's so that it's so that we're like where when Serena walks into the party and we hear Eleanor say, Blair, Serena's here, and Nate's like Blair is about to give up her virginity, and he's she's on top of him, and he's like, literally Serena. It's just like the cartoon where the bunny or whatever is like just sniffing and floating through the air following the smells. Like that's literally that is me saying the bunny. Okay, the bunny. Bugs. You know the bunny. Call him by his full name. Oh my god, bunny, comma bugs. But yeah, like Nate. He's kind of like a little bit of a loser. Kind of like Dean. Sorry, yes. Dean. No, totally. I think Dean's a total freaking loser. No, and I just like Nate a little bit more because also I think we have to put into perspective the context with which these characters exist. So like Nate is truly existing in a world of like degenerates and these people who are genuinely bad. So it's like he seems like the best guy. Whereas like Dean is kind of in this world of it's a little bit brighter and shinier and cozier. And so when he does the really bad thing, it's like, whew, it feels a little bit different. Like it feels a little bit less forgivable to me than Nate. I guess I'm just more willing to overlook some stuff for Nate because it's like, if I don't like him, who can I like? Like who is there to root for as a man?
They do really like instantly redeem him. Whereas I feel like Dean is not very redeemable.
No.
His Golden Boy really, I mean, Golden Boy, talk about the nicknames that Gossip Girl offers. Like Golden Boy is
so
Dean.
True.
But it really starts to take like it goes downhill for Dean, whereas we're kind of starting from the bottom with Nate, and he's redeemed a little bit. We also see him in different relationships. We don't ever really we see Dean with Lindsay, but he also fucks that up. So
exactly,
we see Nate really step in as a friend for Chuck. We see him step in as a friend for Blair when they're no longer, a thing. But the Blair and Nate comparison, I think, can also kind of or the Blair and Nate comparison to Lorelai and Christopher can also, I think, show through the way that he does show up for Blair during times when like neither of them have anything going on. Well, it feels familiar. Like things are kind of like slow right now. You're a familiar face,
Yes. You can always call me, kind of a thing. Like I'm always going to pick up the phone for you. Totally. And like we have so much history and there's so much there that at the end of the day, like I'm always going to root for you. I will show up for you. We might always have a what if kind of a moment, but at the end of the day, like it's not the fit, even though I think, I'm totally, I think that's a great
it's a good
point.
It's a good kind of comparison for sure.
Sweet Nate.
Okay. So Dan Humphrey.
It's Jess for me.
Really?
Yeah. Wait, who is it for you?
I think Dan Humphrey is Rory Gilmore and Marty.
Oh my God. Wait, okay. Not me being so locked into gender norms that I didn't even go there. Oh my God. Shame on me. Okay. Well, yes, because I was like, it's not perfect with Jess. It's so not a perfect. But I just
want to know why you
terms
compare
of
him
like
to Jess.
I just think of the like. I'm from the wrong side of the tracks. Like I'm like, you know what I mean? Like there's a little bit of like the not even that Dan's got a bad boy vibe to him, but a little bit of the I'm not who you're supposed to be with. And like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And also if we're adding in the Luke relationship, it makes me think of the Rufus Lily thing. Like,
of course,
you know, and I think that a lot of why Rory's into it is like similar to reasons why Serena's into Dan at first. Like, I don't know, but I don't obviously like, it's not a perfect comparison. It just was who I immediately was like, it just must be Jess. But now that obviously when you say Rory, like, wait, I want to hear you talk more about this. Okay. I so am with you, but I just hadn't even explored it. And I know you have.
Yeah, of course.
I need to hear.
Okay, so he has like the small town boy charm that like at first I was like, oh, Dean. But I was like, well, no, it's Rory. Like Rory is going to this elite prep school that she otherwise would not be able to get into if it wasn't for her grades and her grandparents. But like Dan is there on a scholarship.
Right.
And it's because he's smart and he worked his ass off to get into the school that like his dad, who like we could make a lot of Lorelai comparisons too. We did sort of at the beginning of this episode, like wants to kind of shield him from this world. Yeah. And I think that that's the same thing as Dan. But Dan, like, especially once Rory goes to college and she starts dating Logan, I feel like Lorelai is like, oh, fuck.
Yes,
like, I didn't want her to be a part of this world.
I didn't want her in this world, and here she is.
She is. And same with Rufus. Rufus, I mean, his connection is to Lily, who is Serena's mom. So it's a lot more of like a love rhombus. But it's like Dan and Serena dating for Rufus is like, oh, fuck. I don't want him to be immersed in this world. Yes, I want him to get a good education. Yes, I want him to go to college. Like, I want all of these things for him. And Dan has this dream of going to Dartmouth and like really wanting, like, that is what he is constantly working towards. He's a writer, like Rory. You know, like he's very interested in those things. But I also drew the Marty comparison because Marty is similar in that he's like, oh, I'm the small town boy kind of energy. I came here on a scholarship. I'm really smart. I'm really nerdy.
Yeah.
Nice guys always finish last.
Yes.
I am like, I want to be with Serena, but Serena is like this unattainable thing. And she's always going to go for the rich guy. You know, it feels kind of like that when it comes to Marty. Like, oh, I have to work a job. I can't just like skate by.
I see the Marty a lot. I think there's a part of me too, and maybe it's a chip on my shoulder with Rory, but in my mind, I'm like, there's a piece of Dan to me that is like, he is gonna have to work as hard as he possibly can for all of these opportunities. And although it might seem that Rory is, I still feel at the end of the day, had she failed at something, like really failed, like not just gotten into a different Ivy, there would have been that kind of like wind beneath her wings that would have picked her up and saved her. And I feel like Dan had to create that a little bit more for himself. And maybe I think of Dan as more sinister because
for sure.
You know what I mean?
Rory's not starting
not
a blog
like, and so I think in my mind, I'm like,
but she is writing articles about them.
No, you're right. You're right.
You know?
You're so right.
So oh my God. It's like,
I can't wait to talk to Anthony about this, by the way. He is going to eat this up. That's such a good point. And I really should have thought of that. Like, it's true. And then also just like
it's so easy to compare like gender to gender.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I do feel like Dan Humphrey in some ways is kind of an outsider. Even the way they speak about him feels the way that like Paris speaks about Rory and her being from a small town is the way that the like Blair Waldorf speaks about Dan being from Brooklyn.
Right.
And it's like he literally lives in Brooklyn.
Totally. Exactly.
But that might as well be like make a left at the cow. Like that is at the rooster statue is Rory says. And it's like that's kind of how Blair talks about Dan Humphrey, and her disdain 100%. For him is also kind of
like how
similar to how Paris feels about Rory.
Yes, no, I'm totally with you. And it's like there's this like pull between them that they like more so. I feel for the Paris and for the Blair, where it's like, oh, there's something about you, like, oh, I hate you, Humphrey. Or
I know,
like, oh, whatever it is, but we're gonna
also,
like,
I like you.
Yeah, and like we're gonna see each other in a way that we're not seen by other people. That feels really good once we let it. And there's a part of it too that's like we're gonna pique the academic intellectual part of each other's brains in a way that maybe the people we're used to being around are not.
That other people can't understand us.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
My friends Madeline and Louise from Paris can't understand me the way Rory Gilmore does.
Right, exactly. And it feels so good, like, to be seen that way. And it's like you almost will do anything to sort of like keep it, which brings me to like Dan and Blair kind of being together, where it's like, well, this feels really good to be in this kind of relationship. Like, why don't we just really see where it goes? And at the end of the day, it's just not a romantic fit because it's a friendship fit. And that's what we see with Paris and Rory, obviously. So like, it's like, but I definitely see the Marty as well, because I think Dan, like, just, you know, if you go and Phoebe and I have decided that we're going into the show, like, we went into Pretty Little Liars spoiler free because I had not seen it. We've both seen Gossip Girl. So
there's no need to go in spoiler free.
Yeah. And like, I know we have a lot of people who like were with us through Pretty Little Liars who are now coming with us to Gossip Girl who haven't seen it and are watching it for the first time.
Tough.
And so it's like this tough thing, but Anthony had it ruined for him because is it Penn Bagley or Penn Badgley?
Badgley.
I always say Badgley. Okay. I hear some people say Bagley sometimes, and I'm like,
oh no,
why are
they're wrong?
Okay,
Sorry.
Good. No, I know. I mean, it's written as Badgley. Okay, so I think that he went on Call Her Daddy, and Anthony accidentally saw a clip that like spoiled it. And it's like at the end of the day, the show's been out for a million years.
No, literally.
You know,
I'm sorry.
it's like people saying that there were Wicked spoilers for Act 2. I'm like, okay, so the musical has been out since 2003. Like, there's no such thing as a spoiler, you know?
Yeah, no.
But yeah, like I think that, so we're going into it acknowledging who Dan is and that he is Gossip Girl. And
which is, Brett and I talk about this all the time. We're like, what?
It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Literally no sense, but okay.
Yes. And we do think we're going to have like some fun with it. Like, I think we were like, he has got to have interns and there have got to be people, because there's like, Dan is never sending in some of these things about his sister, about Serena, about himself. And so I think that in our minds, we're like, okay, there are interns who like go rogue sometimes, and Dan is like, have a chat with them about blah, 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 and do damage control.
Yeah, for sure.
But at the end of the day, we're going into it with the knowledge that he is Gossip Girl. And so sort of looking at it from that standpoint of like, if we know he's Gossip Girl, how does that change the story so much? Because no one knew he was going to be Gossip Girl. Like, it wasn't, I really just feel like it was one of those moments where like, let's pull a name out of a hat, and like whoever
literally
it is,
they were like, so who's it gonna be?
Exactly. Like similar to the A reveal at the end. It's like,
literally,
like,
which is what I love about like the transition from Pretty Little Liars to Gossip Girl is that it's still very like similarly
ridiculous.
coded.
Yeah, exactly.
In the same that it's like, who is this person? This mysterious person who's like torturing us.
Who's torturing
everybody?
Ways. It's just on a different. Yeah, it's interesting how similar the shows are in that way, but. Yeah, so like for Dan, we're looking at it from that standpoint, and I see him as such a, well, if I can't, you know, join the A-listers, I'm going to just make their lives hell, or I'm just going to have this chip on my shoulder about it. And like, I'm going to be the nice guys finish last. I'm going to be all these things. And like, Dan just could have ended up, if he hadn't gone on that day with Serena, he really could have ended up like a bad dude, low key, like incel vibes. You know what I mean? But like
he could have ended up like Joe and You.
Oh my God. Yes, 100%. We've talked about that too. We're like, that just like is who Dan is if he didn't end up with Serena. Like that's who he becomes. But yeah, so, and it is funny that he plays that role. Like, it's a hilarious parallel there in Penn Badgley's film history. But anyway,
I know.
Yeah, I'm with you. But I see the Marty thing, especially in like the beginning and a little bit of that like chip on your shoulder kind of vibe that I ascribe so much to Dan right now.
Yeah, I agree with you that I don't really see that in Rory Gilmore.
Yeah.
The big chip on your shoulder. Yeah. But I do see it in the sense that like she is a little bit of an outsider. I think she leans into it more. I don't think she wants to be part of that world. No. I think she's intrigued by it. But like Dan desperately wants to be a part of that world.
Yes.
It's a little different.
Yes.
And that's with Marty, you don't really find out if he wants to be.
Right.
He has disdain for it, but you don't find out if he wants to be a part of that world. Right. I think he has a lot of opinions about the people who are a part of it, in the sense of like Logan, Colin, and Finn, and all of those guys. He's like, I really hate those guys. And I think that he would feel the same way about like Chuck and Nate before he became friends with them. But, you know, it just takes a different turn. But I really attribute a lot of his outsiderness and kind of some of the things that he does throughout the series to Rory Gilmore.
Yeah, I'm with
more
you,
than some other people.
Especially in the beginning. Like, I just think even... Yeah, no, I'm really with you there.
Yeah. So we already talked about her a little bit, but Lily is very much like a Lorelai Emily crossover.
Yes.
We already talked about it, so we don't need to rehash it. But I do think that she, similarly to Emily, like really prioritizes wealth and societal standing. And I think had Lorelai followed that path of prioritizing that as well, that would be Lily Vanderwoodson.
100%.
That would be her.
100%. Yes.
But moving into Rufus, I also love kind of the Lorelai comparison when it comes to him.
Yeah.
But that's not who I put down. Who did you put down?
I feel like it's like the obvious one, and I feel like it's going to be, well, it's obvious to me, but you might have a similar reaction to it. I think it's Luke.
Yes, I put Luke meets Christopher.
Okay. No, I'm totally with you on that.
You know, like because of the comparison of like Lily and Rufus being
to the Lorelai and Christopher, 100%.
To the Lorelai and Christopher. Like they were young love, but it would almost be as if like a young Lorelai and a young Luke met, and Emily didn't approve and was like, I think that when Cece goes to Rufus and is like, don't be with my daughter, like that is very Emily.
100%. I totally agree. And I think too, the way that like just kind of Rufus and Lily's back and forth also really reminds me of Lorelai and Luke. Like, we were just talking about it in this first episode, and we were wondering. So there's a moment where, like, Lily's first line of the episode of this show is her talking about a random painting that was recommended to her, and it doesn't go with her furniture. And later on, she pays a visit to Rufus at the art gallery, and he's like, "Oh, are you here to tell me that, like, the art doesn't go with your furniture or something?" So I'm like, "Oh, is she already buying the art from Rufus? Like, how in contact are they really?" But the way that she walks in, "Rufus, why is my daughter?" You know, like, they just have this little thing where they pretend to not like each other. They pretend to hate each other a little bit, but God, they are obsessed with each other. You know, like, they just through gritted teeth, they just cannot not love each other. Like, their little smirk and the glimmer in their eye, and it's like, it makes me wish that Rufus and Lily ended up together, because I'm like, it makes me feel like they're meant to be, like, a little bit.
They were. I'm sorry.
You know?
Dan and Serena should not have been endgame. Rufus and Lily should have been endgame for life. I'm going to be so upset when I get to the point where they're no longer together.
Oh, I know. It breaks my heart. Because, like,
it just doesn't,
they work so hard to get there. Like, it feels like... And it also is like, then what was it all for? What was all the bullshit you two put everyone else through? What was that all for?
What was that all for?
We don't get the payoff of you ending up together. Yeah. But it
should have been Blair and Chuck and Rufus and Lily. Those were the two relationships that we've been rooting for since the beginning.
100%. I'm like, everyone, I mean, Nate didn't end up paired up. Everyone didn't have to even end up paired up. You know, we didn't have to... But everyone, it's that same thing with, like, the Ezra and Arya thing, where just, like, people, I think, got really obsessed with the Dan and Serena trope. And
yeah, I guess I liked them. Like, when I first rewatched the show after not having watched it for a while, I did this at, like, the beginning of 2023. I loved Serena and Dan. Like, at the beginning, I was like, oh God, I forgot how much I love them. I think they bring out the best in each other. And then by the end, watching it, I was like, why the fuck are these two together? Like, why did they end up together?
But I'm also low-key like, all right, you deserve each other. Because in my mind, I'm like, Serena signing off on the hell that Dan has created in all of your lives forever. If I'm Blair, I'm like, hey, fuck you, Serena. Like, because look at what he did to all these people, his own family. And it's like, Serena's like, well... You know, like,
what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? I love him. And it's like, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I don't know about that.
Potato.
Yeah, fully. So for me, I'm just like, it says a lot to me about Serena that she, like, stands by her man in that moment, because they weren't even like together, I think, when it's actually revealed, because it's like a flash forward, right? Like,
I know. I don't know, because, like, these last two seasons that I'm on right now, I'm very intrigued to get into, because like, there's so many things that I forget. And admittedly, once season 5, kind of season 4 and 5 of Gossip Girl take off, like, that's where the Gilmore Girls comparisons really come to a screeching halt for me, because I'm like, the things that are happening, like the scheming that's happening, I'm like,
different level, different kind of world we're in. Yes,
exactly.
We've left Stars Hollow.
We've left the station.
Exactly.
we're so far away at this point. We can't even see the train anymore. It's so far gone. But I'm like, I'm like kind of remembering what happened, like, as I'm watching it again. I'm like, oh, right. So I can't really, I just know what happens in the finale.
Because I think it was like a surprise. Like, people were like, oh my God, are they going to be together? We weren't sure,
and
because
then it's
they're not really together. And then
we
get the flash forward, and, like, it's their wedding, and Blair and Chuck have a kid. So it's like years later. So I think that they're not together before that, but I'm just like, how do you reconcile after that? Like, I
totally agree. But I will say, it is giving, like, the Luke and Lorelai being Rufus and Lily, if that's the comparison we want to make, and, like, the Jess and Rory being kind of the Dan and Serena. One of them had to end up together.
Totally.
And in Gilmore Girls, it's Luke and Lorelai, because otherwise then it's kind of like, okay, this
what's the point of all that? Weird. You know, from episode 1, what is the point of all that if they're not together? And can you imagine if they hadn't ended up together? Like, the revolution that would have taken place in the streets. Like, it would have been...
They still would be out there. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. I can still hear them now.
Still be out there.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so for
me,
it's
with
like...
Dan and Serena, it's like, okay, they're the ones that ended up together. I don't agree with it, but they couldn't both end up together. So if you really had to pick one and you wanted to pick these two, fine. Right. But I think that Lily and Rufus were endgame. I'm really upset that they didn't end up together.
I do too.
But what are you going to do?
I know.
Moving into Jenny Humphrey.
I gotta be honest with you. I feel like Jenny, based on her different era, like I could put a line through where little J, like Jenny starts and little J starts, you know what I mean? And like
this is
like
also a situation where it's like writers really took the reins and had to turn the wheel because of
she wanted out.
Taylor Momsen's she wanted out. And I haven't listened to her Call Her Daddy episode yet.
Yeah,
but
it's a bummer because I feel like a lot of these people, except for like maybe Blake Lively, the way they talk about the show, like not super fond, like honestly.
Not fond of it.
No. And it makes me sad because like, first of all, we can throw any hope of like them ever trying to do any, like it's never going to happen. But, and I get it, but I just, it's interesting because it seems like time would heal that. Like even with the Pretty Little Liars girls, like there was definitely tension in the cast, especially at the end. They were ready to be done with it. But now, like 15 years later, I think they all look at it like, oh, we're so grateful for that time in our lives. It really was a happy time. We can look past the bad. The Gossip Girl cast does not seem to be able to do it in the same way, except like Chase Crawford and Blake Lively. Like they, and maybe Ed Westwick. But certainly not Leighton Meester, and certainly not Penn Badgley, and certainly not Taylor Momsen.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Like I just God, also imagine the conversations that Leighton Meester and Adam Brody have, being that the shows were created by the same people. Like
literally,
you know.
Yeah. So for those of you who might, I mean, I feel like everybody knows Leighton Meester, who plays Blair Waldorf, and Adam Brody, who played Dave Rogowski on Gilmore Girls, married. Yep. Love that they're married to each other. And I have not watched Nobody Wants This, but I've heard she's on the new season. No.
Oh, Tara, you're going to love it. I will say season 1. I think so. I mean, I was like, I love it so much because season 1 I liked better, but I was like, I love this so much because I have a podcast with my sister, and to see that dynamic on screen, like it felt so real. I wonder if watching it, you will feel similarly. I'm sure you have like a sisterly relationship with Haley, but like, because you're not sisters, I wonder if you'll have to let me know, like if you feel that, because I'm like, oh my God. There in the episode in season 2, there's a moment where the two sisters have like this blowout fight, but they still have to sit down and record, and it's like been there so many fucking times. Like it's literally like, and the way that they like just get each other's goats on air, and like they'll fight on air, and that's what people love about the show, and like that's a big thing Phoebe and I relate to. But season 1 had a lot more podcast storyline than season 2, and I think season 2, I don't know. You got to watch it and let me know what you think.
But I got to watch it. Yeah.
There's something, Adam Brody, he is just good on the screen.
He's just, and I love that Dave Rogowski / Seth Cohen ended up with Blair Waldorf. Like that to me just like warms my heart.
Yes.
Good for them.
100%.
Blair Waldorf watching Dave Rogowski give that speech at the end of season 3 on Gilmore Girls up in her bedroom. I'm like, you are going to end up with him.
That. Exactly. I love that. Like, and her cameo episode in season 2 is fabulous. Leighton Meester is such a treat. Like, but I wish she was in it more. She's really only in one episode, which I think is kind of nice too, though. Like she lets it be his show and whatever, but it's fun to see her there. Anyhow.
Oh, love it. Anyway, with Jenny, I agree with you that it's really hard to put one character on her because of the way they split it up. Taylor Momsen really wanted to find an identity for her music that aligned with the character of Jenny Humphrey. She was like, I don't want to be one thing on screen and another thing off screen. I want these two to meld. So if you watch the show, you'll see Jenny go from this like wholesome girl from Brooklyn. You'll see it, wholesome girl in Brooklyn, to like all of a sudden, like one episode she has like so much eyeliner on and like this chopped haircut, which is fierce, but it's a jarring change. Platinum blonde. I was like, whoa.
Every choice she makes sucks. Like everything she
awful.
does
and
pisses
you're like,
you off.
What are you doing? I'm just like, it's gone off the rails.
I cannot stand her.
I know.
I loved her in the
and
beginning.
So like me too. She was so endearing and so sweet. And so like there's a part of me that wants to compare her to Paris because she has like a vindictive side. But I do think that she's kind of like a Lane Kim.
I was going to say that. I was going to say in the beginning, I think she's got Lane. And I keep bringing up my husband, like how male center can I be? But I have to tell you, we took the like which Gilmore Girls character are you quiz. Yeah. And you probably guess who I got. I got Paris, and he got Lane. And he was like, this can't be right. He took it like 6 times. He got Lane every time. time. He's so pissed about it.
He wanted to be Luke.
Yeah. And he got Lane every time. He was so mad. But like,
that's so funny.
Kind of so funny.
I love that he was like, this thing must be broken.
He was like, this can't be right. And I was like, well, it kind of nailed me. So like, I'm not going to lie. I think it's fine.
Not gonna lie, I think it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I think it's a you thing. But
yeah.
But I think in the beginning, like, she's got that. And she's also like, although she doesn't have like a strict parent in the beginning, so to say, she kind of is like, I don't know how much I want my dad to know I'm part of this world vibe that Lane, I could compare to her needing to like change when she gets to school, kind of a thing where like,
totally,
you know, Jenny, I think she knows that her dad isn't like super proud of her wanting to be part of this world so bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So like I could see that. But then once she goes bad, I'm like, I don't even fucking know if there's a comparable character in my mind. Who do you think?
Maybe Francie. Francie is like a very, you know, conniving, kind of like power hungry kind of person. Yeah. I also kind of compared her to Jess. Defiant.
Okay.
Doesn't want to go to school. Wants to follow their passion instead. I feel like Rufus and Jenny are giving Luke and Jess vibes.
Oh my God. Wait, I really like that.
You know?
Yes, that comparison is really...
When she's like, I'm not going to school. It's giving Jess Mariano, I'm not going back to school.
Right.
And Luke is like, well, then you got to go. And Rufus is like, then you're not going to live under my roof.
Yeah.
And he kicks her out.
Which is like, by the way, I think a great parenting moment. Just saying, like, for Rufus, not going to lie. I'm like... Yeah,
Rufus
like,
loves her so much. Like Rufus, watching him, like just watching Jenny break his heart over and over and over again as like a father-daughter relationship. And when she comes back, he still welcomes her back with open arms. Is like,
it's so hard to watch. It's such a like, it's really powerful. And it makes me so happy when we get that payoff of her coming back in the last episode, even though it's just like for a moment, it's like you always find your way back home, as Hannah Montana said. Like she still knows where she's from. She needed to go sow her wild oats and be who she was and whatever. But like at the end of the day, I think hindsight's 2020 and distance and time heal those wounds, and you come back and you can see it for what it actually was, rather than being in the thick of it and like, oh my God, why are you trying to clip my wings? Why don't you want me to be who I am?
Yes.
Like, that angsty
exactly.
teen.
And that is the comparison I can make, because I don't think she's necessarily Jess. I guess I could make some comparisons there. It's moreover that the dynamic she has with her dad is very similar to Luke and Jess. More so than like Emily and Lorelai, because that's the other parental like friction relationship in the series of Gilmore Girls. I mean, there are tons of friction-filled fictional friction-filled relationships, but I do think that this like you're trying to, you know, you want me to see through your idea of what a like clear path is.
Right.
Jess did not want to go to school. He's like, I know that I don't want to go to school. It's not that I can't do it. It's not that I'm not smart. I don't want to do it. I want to work at Walmart.
Right.
Jenny wanted to be a fashion designer. Yeah. And, you know, it's just, and that relationship I wish had blossomed the same way that Jess and Luke does. And in that vein, like Lorelai tries to feed Luke parental advice. Lily tries to do the same for Rufus when it comes to Jenny. And it never really works. She's going to do what she's going to do. And it all ends up being okay. Like Jenny and her dad end up being fine. But, you know, and they become not series regulars anymore because they go off and do their own thing. So like, you know, it all kind of shakes out the same way. I just can't pinpoint a character, like a direct character comparison, more than maybe Lane, especially because the choices that Jenny Humphrey makes just go off the fucking
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's
how did we get here?
Not a comparable. Yeah, and it is like you kind of do have to look at her as like two different characters. It's like
literally,
you know, Jenny before and
Little
Jenny
J.
after. Exactly.
Yeah.
And what a crazy, you know, switch to say we're going from Lane to Jess in terms of, but I think that steadfastness in who you are and what you want to is really aligning Jess and
like
Jenny
sacrificing your parents' expectations of you for like your art.
And refusing to admit you could be wrong. Like refusing to admit that maybe you have a point. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah, no, totally. I like that because I was lost on the Jenny one. I was like,
I know.
I know. It's Lane, but then I don't even want to put that on Lane, you know?
I know exactly. I'm like, Lane, I promise you're not like this. You have a pure heart. Exactly. Stay that way forever.
Totally.
And then with Vanessa, I said Lane as well because she's very like artsy, kind of like doesn't have strict parents, but comes from like but has like her parents have expectations of her.
Oh, I mean, I think it's a similar, I was going to say the same thing because I think it's similar in terms of her mom does not want Vanessa to be in this life. Like she does not want, and she's so almost to the point of it being performative. Like she's so anti everything that the Vanderwoodsons are and that the Humphreys end up sort of becoming, you know, she's like, I'm so much better than this and whatever. So I do think, and in a way, like not, I would never say that Lane's parents are, or like that her mother's absent, but I think in terms of there's a level of not being aware of like the world your daughter's in a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And so I feel like Vanessa's mom really has that. And then when she realizes that Vanessa might want to be in this world, or when she realizes these choices Vanessa has made are terrible or hurting people, like she's really disappointed in that part of her daughter. And I think that I see that for Lane, but also I fucking hate Vanessa.
Rory. Okay, so the other comparison I made was Dean. I was like, also she's insufferable.
Yes. Okay, I like that better because again, I'm like, also, I don't want to insult you like this, Lane. She's insufferable.
Yeah, exactly.
I cannot stand Vanessa.
Like just gives Dean energy, always kind of lingering around, comes in through the window,
coming through the window. Like, okay, you fucking freak. Like, what did you scale the wall? Get out of here. Like, I just
like doesn't know what her place is in this life that Dan is creating, which is very like Dean in season 5 with Rory. He's like, I don't belong here.
Yes, and her like not really her being like, I'm better than all of you, and so I'm gonna kind of be like a bitch. Like I'm gonna kind of treat everyone who I don't respect because their society says they're better than me. I'm gonna like be kind of an asshole to them. Like I'm gonna just like the thing with authority, I guess. For Vanessa, and
she has redeemable moments. Like don't get me wrong.
And she's beautiful. I'll give her that. She's beautiful.
Jessica Zor. You're a
my God.
Woman.
She's so pretty. I remember being so annoyed by how pretty she was because I was just like the one episode where she wears the see-through dress to the, which first of all, I was that like wouldn't be an issue.
No, honestly,
that would so not be an issue for me if I looked like her and I had a see-through dress. Like I would not be crying leaving the ball. But how she looks in that dress, I was just like, God, like she is so gorgeous. But
okay, the last character comparison I had, just because she is kind of a major character that bounces in and out, is Georgina Sparks, which was really hard to. She is so. Michelle Trachtenberg, may she rest. What an incredible actor!
What a talent!
What a beauty!
What a staple in like our lives and pop culture. Like since I can remember, like give me Ice Princess,
Harriet the Spy, you know? Like, exactly,
Ice
Princess.
She has literally been such a constant in my life. So it was so sad when she passed, but her performance as Georgina. It's
unmatched.
like I feel the way about Georgina the way that I feel about Mona, where it's just like,
they're
so bad that they're so good. Like it's just so fun to watch them come out. And what's fascinating too is we already have this character of Blair, the schemer, the person who's sort of like fills that role. But I wonder if because she was they found all this nuance and this depth and these levels to her that they were like, well, we got to bring in a new one now, you know, like let's have someone who is the pure evil, because Georgina does not have redeeming qualities.
No, she doesn't, but you're somehow thinking like maybe she might.
Maybe she
will. Sometimes. Like every time she comes back, you're like, maybe. But like she is just who she is, which is why I compared her to Paris and Francie. I feel like if Paris and Francie had a love child, it would be Georgina Sparks.
Yes.
She's just pure scheme, pure like I am who I am, but also has two faces.
Yeah,
like Francie.
100% misguided ambition. Like she's got all the ambition of Paris, but it's just like I'm like, God,
and also wants to fit in with the group, like wants to be accepted by this group. She's like, but we're friends. And they're like, we're not. We're not
friends. Yeah, exactly. Haven't you heard? I'm the crazy bitch around here. Like, no. No, exactly. I just also the name Georgina Sparks. Come on, that is so good.
Come on.
It's so good. But I think you're exactly right. If we put Paris and Francine together and then we take out the morality at all, any sense of morality that's in there, any voice of reason, and there you have
out
Georgina Sparks. Yeah.
Out the window.
Totally.
Yeah.
Love her.
But they're all such dynamic characters. And I think that we really went through the relationship comparisons.
Yeah.
And we could go through all of the scenario comparisons, but I feel like we have to save that for another episode.
I would love to, because it means that I have an excuse to come back, because this was so, I literally, Tara, like I knew it would go like this.
I know. I was like, we're just going to yap for
I
forever
hope
and ever and ever.
The people listening found this conversation entertaining, because I just had so much fun diving into this with you. It's so fun to talk about these shows that we love so much.
I know. And that's why I was like, we have to save the like scenario comparisons, maybe some of the relationship comparisons for another time, is because like you and I could yap about this for another
it'll
hour,
be a 5 hour
but I also can't wait for you to like, I want to talk to you about this after you guys have like really taken a deep dive on the show for the first few months.
So ready for that. It's gonna feel so different. Like,
I know. I
can't wait. And I can't wait to bring in some of Phoebe's perspective too.
Me too.
You know, on her thoughts, because it's funny, like a lot of her thoughts on the show are like what my thoughts are, because I was her big sister and I was like, and we love Blair and we hate Jenny, and this is what you are gonna think, you know. but so it'll be interesting to see like going through it with her and the different things that she like points out that make me see things differently, that bring a different lens to these conversations. But
I know, which I love. That's exactly what Haley does for me. Like she brings such a different lens to it all. So I'm excited to have you back and we can talk more about some of the comparisons. But if you guys at home have not seen Gossip Girl, you might have been really confused throughout this entire conversation. But it's a great show. If you haven't seen it in a while, definitely rewatch. There's a Yale episode.
Yes.
There are 2 debutante episodes. Like there are moments that really deeply remind me of Gilmore Girls. Not just the characters, of course, yes, but like we talked about today, the relationships, some of the scenarios. It's just like, it's small town vibes in a big city. And it's like the elite deep dive on characters that you kind of already meet in Gilmore Girls, but don't get the real like expansion on. And so that's why I love the show. And I've had such a fun time just rewatching in preparation for this episode and also for my enjoyment. I am so excited for you guys to move through the series, and I can't wait to listen. So just a reminder, the podcast is called Your One and Only Source. You can find them on Instagram. What is the handle? Your One and Only Source Pod?
At Your One and Only Source Pod. That's where you can find us. We're everywhere you listen to podcasts. You can find us. Probably if you search the Pretty Little Podcast, it will come up too. If you are dying to hear our Pretty Little Liars thoughts, there's that as well. Since I know we got into that a little bit here, but yeah, I'm so excited. And honestly, if you haven't watched Gossip Girl after this conversation, aren't you just dying to?
Aren't you just dying to? Please.
And
tell us if you do. Yes. I really hope so, because it's so good. Like I forgot how much I love the show. Like it is a little insane sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But also for me, and I'm sure for you as someone who's a theater person, if you are a theater freak and if you love Broadway, because this show was filmed in New York, you are going to see so many Broadway actors,
so many
Matt
coming
Doyle,
out.
Jen Damiano, Krista Rodriguez, Aaron Tveit. Like, you're gonna see
the Aaron Tveit storyline is so good. Also,
it's crazy.
Oh shoot, what was I just gonna say? Someone who comes through. If you like Vanderpump Rules, just a little aside too, if you're a pop culture girly or reality TV and you've watched Vanderpump, Laura Layton. No, wait, that's the mom from Pretty Little Liars. What is her name?
From Pretty Little Liars.
Laura Lee, I think is her name. She is from season 1 of Vanderpump. She dates Jax. She is a crazy, like 3 episode storyline in Vanderpump. And then she leaves Vanderpump because she like gets a role in, I think it's RV, that movie with like JoJo. Remember that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then she did Gossip Girl. And she is the girl, if you remember, I think Blair puts the like Nair in the martini glass and throws it at her at the bar when she's dating Dan, and her hair starts coming out in clumps because she's like, Serena, no, we have to take care of this. That's her.
Right.
So,
oh my God.
That's a little fun Easter egg as well. If you're one of those people.
No, there are like a lot of you will recognize a lot of faces. I mean, in the Gilmore Girls world, we mentioned Kristen Ritter, who plays Lucy in season 7, but also Modgan Amick, who is Sherry in Gilmore Girls, plays the Duchess in season 2.
Wait, yes,
Nate has the whole affair with her.
Oh, how could I forget?
What are you
How
doing
could I
here?
forget? No, Nate is obsessed with a foxy older woman. Yes,
Honestly, we just got to the Elizabeth Hurley section, and I was like, oh,
and the bandage
Elizabeth
dresses.
Hurley.
Like the biggest thing I remember from that storyline is just that she has the same dress and a million different colors every day, and they're all bandage dresses. And good for her.
Single day.
And at her age, good for her.
Honestly, I love. And for the Maisel fans out there, Rachel Brosnahan makes a very brief appearance, so it was really funny to see her. I was like, hey, hi, you should not be doing drugs are bad. So out of character for her, like,
no,
you know,
not
given
her
what we
character type
come to know her as.
She's like, let me try it out.
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
My God.
But Caroline, thank you so much for coming on the show. I just knew we would have the best time.
I knew we would.
Thank you for coming
too.
to my birthday party. This is my birthday episode.
Oh my God. No, I am so honored. When you brought this up, I was like on cloud 9. I was so excited to do this, to talk to you. I just love talking to you anyway, but God, to record a podcast with you.
Literally. Now it's going to be public.
Oh, I can't. I'm gonna. It's gonna be like my every night as I fall asleep. I listen to us yap about
just
our comfort
feels so
shows.
normal and natural, which is literally
can be scary.
Yapping about our comfort shows, but B, you and me just voice memoing each other back and forth. It's just like now it's an episode. That
I love it. I love it. Oh my God, you guys are so lucky. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all your help with the podcast world. Tara is truly an angel. I call her my podcast fairy godmother. She is the best. So you know, just
you make it easy. It's so much fun to work together, and I am so excited to see how your one and only source
me too
it just blossoms. I'm so ready for this next chapter for you guys.
Oh, thank you.